Hey guys. Here is part 5 of What If Naruto Had His Memory Sealed. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 29, Showdown in the Sand Dunes. Naruto's eye twitched as he grabbed his head and lost his balance, forcing himself to catch himself on Tsunade's chair. Ow, he said while rubbing his temple. Tsunade looked at Naruto with a little anger in her eyes. Stop training, brat. I'm not going to tell you again, that's an order. Naruto sighed in a downtrodden fashion. Okay, fine. It was for a good reason though, he said as he simply stood in place before cringing and falling against Tsunade's chair again. Oh damn it! Tsunade got a tick mark on her head. I told you to stop. Naruto pulled himself back together. I did stop. I dispelled all the rest of the clones I made. The first headache was a ton of my clones annihilating themselves trying one of my jutsu. The second one was me dispelling the rest of them. I can't do it in waves from this far away, it has to happen all at once. Temari looked over at him clutching his head. You make your clones train? Where? Naruto growled in annoyance at the pain on his skull. I sent them into the desert 2 days ago and told them to get lost and work until they dispelled and nothing else. Well, they worked alright. Below on the Chunin exam battlefield, Ino had forced her opponent to surrender after taking control of their body with Shinranshin no Jutsu, mind-body disturbance jutsu, and forced them to hold themselves at knife point. It was evident that everyone was much better than previously indicated from their last encounter with him, something that actually brought a smile to his face. Chuji and Sakura were to fight next round after Chuji had almost crushed the Iwa Genin representative. Kiba was to take on one of the Suna ninja that had survived his first round bout, and Ino was getting a bye straight to the finals after her victory. As he watched with a semblance of pride at his classmates' actions, a piece of information he had previously overlooked passed through his head, forcing a scowl onto his face. Oh, stupid fucking clones! He whispered. Shizune turned to him. What's the matter, Naruto-kun? Naruto kept his voice low. While they were making their way out into the desert to train, they saw something, but they didn't dispel because I had given them strict parameters on what they could and couldn't do, and they didn't engage for the same reason. Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the word engage. What did you see, brat? Naruto looked at her seriously. Black robes with red clouds. Tsunade returned her gaze down to the arena as Baki announced a short recess before the next round of fights. Whatever you're willing to do about this, you know I'm game. Chatter from the entire arena went up, covering up their words even further from being heard by those surrounding them. Tsunade took in her immediate options. She could let be known to the others that Akatsuki was en route for either Naruto or Gaara. Probably the best option possible, as that would let Gaara mobilize the village's forces in an effort to rebuke them. The downside to that was the fact that saying anything here would cause mass hysteria, which would make it easier for Akatsuki to manage a quiet capture and slip away if either Naruto or Gaara were caught off guard. In addition to that, a group of S-rank missing ninja were heavy hitters and would take out a mass amount of Gaara's forces even if they were able to put them down in the end. With the two nations being in an alliance, and the Chuchikage sitting right there, having him witness the toll that would be taken on Suna might not be the best option in view of possible future events. The second option would be to send Naruto and Shizune out to engage them head-on before they made it to the village, a heavy gamble as chances are, Naruto was the one they were after. She might have been able to excuse herself so that she could head out with them, but that would raise far too much suspicion. The downside to this was that Naruto was the only one she was certain of that had the capabilities to go up against these people. She didn't want Shizune caught in the ruckus. She was good but was definitely not a combat type. Then there was the third option, probably the worst option of all. She could send Naruto out alone. She would keep a slug on the kid and one on herself so that she could be kept up to date with what was happening, but it was still long odds that this would work. The upside was that Naruto would be fighting in the desert, which would allow him to cut loose with the Kyuubi's chakra, and from the reports on Naruto's attacks on a few of Orochimaru's bases when he cut loose, it was a sight to behold. He already beat the Akatsuki in a 2-on-1 situation, didn't he? He killed one and made the other retreat, and this time if he was in over his head he could get immediate backup. Tsunade motioned Naruto near her. You're going to be going on your own, brat. I'm sticking you with a slug so I can keep track of you and you can keep me informed, but you need to cut those two off, handle this, and hustle back here as fast as you can, okay? Naruto nodded. You also need a way out of here, fast, because I'm racking my brain to come up with an excuse to get you to leave. She took the time to summon 2 hand-sized slugs under her robe and send one into Naruto's hood. Naruto locked eyes with her and sighed. You know how the best stories are things that are based on real life? Tsunade gave him a confused look, forcing him to further elaborate. You're going to have to sock me one bachan. A good one too to make it seem realistic. Just make sure you send me north by northeast. And good too, because you've got to get me over that cliff top. Tsunade frowned. You're sure you'll survive it? She got a nod in response. All right then, brat. Good luck. She channeled the chakra to her hand and hit the boy square in the chest, taking care to hit him in an area that would equally distribute the damage she dealt as well as make it look like she whiffed him on the chin, opening her fist right upon contact to hit him with her palm and send him flying. To the shock and surprise of everyone not in the know about what had just transpired, Tsunade just turned back towards the other two Kage and shrugged. Ill-mannered brats. The next generation has no respect for their elders. The Chuchi Kage snorted in humor. You've got that right. My own granddaughter Kuratsuchi treats me like a fragile old man. Me? Ryatenbin no Inoki. That's because you are a fragile old man, Gramps. Kuratsuchi pointed at the sparkle in the sky representing Naruto's body. Is he going to be alright after that? Tsunade nodded. Oh yeah? I hit him harder than that all the time. He'll hop right back up wherever he lands, for his sake somewhere soft. Damn Tsunade-bachan, that was further than a kilometer, I swear. After Naruto landed in the Sunagakure scrap heap, he swiftly stood up and dusted himself off. Man, hitting the tightly packed earth around here sure would have sucked. I'm glad this pile of rusty kunai and shuriken were here to break my fall. Naruto looked around at the people staring at him strangely. You didn't see anything. He then took off towards the northeast. What's the matter with you, boy? Naruto heard in his head as he was en route to a confrontation with whoever Akatsuki had sent for him this time. What in the world are you babbling about now? You've been really pissy lately and I'm getting kind of tired of your crap. The last few times I went into the mindscape you didn't even wake up to talk to me. Naruto thought rather testily. Naruto went into autopilot mode as he felt a little pull, sending him thoughts on what the Kyuubi was currently doing. Apparently it was bored enough that it had taken to chewing on some guy with long spiky black hair and strange red old-style armor. Kyuubi spit him out and huffed. What I mean is, what the hell do you think you've been doing lately? What happened to the little blonde killing machine you used to be, the runt of a human that earned my respect? What happened to the brat that cut down an entire room of Kumo ninja without batting an eye? Does that son of a bitch still breathe? Naruto didn't have the time to even start thinking about what he meant by that. I don't know what you're talking about. This is who I am, and I'm still that damn good. Just because I can be normal after I'm done with the fight doesn't mean anything. You lie! He felt the Kyuubi roar to him. You're lying to me and to yourself. This isn't you. When you first unlocked your sealed memories once more, I took the way you were acting with a grain of salt. I figured that when you got a few kills under your belt and had gotten back into some wet work you would go back to the way you were. Rehabilitation, if you will. Instead, you got worse. And now look at you, you're some guard dog for a bunch of withered old crones more often than you're in battle. You joke around and fall in line behind crones that couldn't strap on your sandals. Kami boy, you were starting to consider those Konoha weaklings in the stadium as your peers, as if they were on your level. They are my peers. Come the end of this exam, they're going to be my fellow Chunin. What do you want from me? Do you want me to just shove myself in like when I was a kid? To just train and go on missions? To be like I was en route? News flash for ball. That's why I'm not there anymore. At this point Danzojiji can't turn me back. He couldn't even make me a mindless drone when I was 5. How in the blue hell is he going to do anything with me now? Naruto raged at the demon in his mind. For over a year now, the Kyuubi had been angry at something. It couldn't have just been because Jiraiya loosened the seal. That would only be enough reasoning for why Naruto was feeling it more often these days. The times where the Kyuubi was actually pleasant were becoming few and far between. This was why it was angry, because Naruto wasn't dark enough for it. He had taken the example of his sealed state, and had opened up to people. He had those that he actually considered friends. He spent a lot of his time with these people instead of fighting like he used to. As he tore through the sand dunes, he decided to put this on the back burner for the time being. Alright, listen up. We don't have time to be fighting and bitching at each other right now. After we handle this, we can gripe at each other to your heart's delight, if we survive, but for the moment we need to focus. You're getting sick of me? That's fine, we were never friends, but like it or not, I need you and you need me. There was silence before a low growl. As loath as I am to admit it, you are right. Right before a battle is not the time to go over this, but rest assured, this is not over. You are a mere shell of what you used to be, and at this rate you always will be. With that, the connection between the two was cut off. Naruto pulled up his hood as he kept up the frantic pace through the desert. I'm not a shell of anything, you stupid fox. I'm more than I ever have been before. Why would I ever want to go back to the way things used to be? Fighting just for the sake of being a ninja is no way to live. As Kiba's opponent finally dropped from blood loss, giving the wild-looking teen the victory in his bout, Shizune looked over at Tsunade and whispered through her applause. "Do you think Naruto-kun will be alright?" Tsunade kept her eyes ahead of her. "If he gets overwhelmed, we'll know about it immediately, and courtesy be damned. I'm going out there and cracking some skulls myself. I can't even enjoy the tournament anymore, and Sakura is in the next fight. All of my genin are the last 3 remaining and I can't even enjoy the show." Kuratsuchi looked around. "Where is that Naruto kid that Hokage-sama sent flying? She said he would be alright and that was 45 minutes ago. He still isn't back yet." Shizune laughed nervously. "Oh, Naruto-kun has a terrible sense of direction. He probably got lost somewhere in the village on his way back. He's fine." Naruto didn't get lost ever. Even Gaara and his siblings knew that. From back when Naruto stayed in Suna during the treaty analysis after the failed Otosuna invasion, it was clear that it didn't take much for the boy to find his way around. Even the way he ran through the desert straight to Konoha after his mission was complete proof that if he saw something once, he didn't ever get lost. Keeping this in mind, Gaara turned his attention back to the proceedings, while Kankuro and Temari were more on edge, doing their best not to let it show. "Are we fucking there yet?" Hidan shouted. "I hate the desert. There isn't even anyone or anything out here to sacrifice to Jashin-sama except for you." Kakuzu glared out of the corner of his eye. "You try it, and I'll shove that side so far up your ass you'll be spitting chunks of metal. Now shut up and come on, we're almost there if the dome-like structure in the distance isn't an indicator to you, moron." "Right on Denkai, lightning release, electric field." Hidan and Kakuzu found themselves surrounded in a restrictive field of electricity. Hidan looked around him testily. "Now what the fuck is the problem?" Kakuzu growled. "Shut the hell up, Hidan. It's obvious someone got the drop on us. It won't be enough to win, but I suppose congratulations are in order for pulling that off. It's a pretty decent trap to say the least." Hidan looked at his partner angrily. "Stop complimenting the bastard and find a way to get us out of here. I want to catch the target and be done with this." Naruto's voice projected itself across the desert. "Now's the time that most people would offer you the chance to simply leave and save your lives, but I'm not really most people. Sorry about that." A sizzling noise came from within the electric field. Underneath the top layer of sand was a small cluster of explosive tags burning through. "Fuck!" Hidan summed up perfectly. Boom. The explosion negated the electric field, allowing the force of the blast to push Naruto out of his hiding spot underneath the sand. He stood back up and looked at the smoke generated from the attack. "That was way too easy. It can't be over yet." He was then forced to dodge a scythe came sweeping out under him from the sand. Hidan revealed himself after his failed attack, with half of his cloak singed off in the explosion, revealing deep burns on his body. "You little shit! That hurt!" Naruto got a good look at his body. That should have killed him. It's clear that he didn't dodge it from the way he looks, so why is he still here? While he was keeping track of Hidan, a pair of arms reached up from the sand and pulled him under before pulling him out a distance away and slamming him into the ground harshly. Due to the ground being sand, Naruto stood up rather quickly, head swimming, but then he had just gotten dragged through the earth and slammed from 10 feet in the air, so being a little disoriented was par the course. He stood up fast enough to see Kakuzu's arms return to his body, connected by black threads that seemed to comprise his innards. Naruto frowned to himself. Interesting technique. After getting slammed into the ground, his hood had come off, revealing his face to the two Nukenin. Kakuzu stared at him for a second before laughing. "What would you look at that, Hidan? The Kyuubi Jinchuriki came right to us, no searching necessary. We didn't even have to smoke him out. That certainly saves us some time, doesn't it?" Hidan joined his partner in laughing at Naruto. "What kind of idiot walks right into a 2-on-1 situation? What did you think you were going to do like this?" Naruto narrowed his eyes as a bubbling cloak of the Kyuubi's chakra covered his body. "Let me show you." The cloak took on the shape of a fox and one tail sprouted from the back as his canines grew, his eyes turned red, and his nails turned into claws. After thinking about it for a moment, he concentrated further and manifested a second tail of chakra, giving him a black outline on his lips. He crouched down in the more comfortable position of being on all fours. "On second thought, I might as well start trying to go all out right now." Gaara's eyes turned towards the northeast as he stayed seated in the stadium. The intermission was close to being complete, and Naruto had still yet to return to the Kage box. He wasn't the only one to feel the influx of dark power from the distance away. Tsunade felt it but futilely tried to hide feeling the energy. Anoki felt it as well, but seeing as how no one else was speaking up about it, he wasn't about to. Gaara finally turned his head towards his siblings. I think I would like to stretch my legs for a moment. Kankuro, Temari, please remain here if you would. He stood up and placed his hat and kage robes on his chair. Hokage Dano, Chuchikage Dano, I will return in just a moment. I apologize for departing so abruptly. With that, Gaara disappeared in a wave of sand. Tsunade felt herself release a breath when Gaara left. At the very least now the kid would have more than adequate backup from the Kazekage himself. Anoki let out a short chuckle. That new Kazekage is a real hands-on kind of guy it seems, as Tsunade? His larger bodyguard looked down at him. What are you referring to, Chuchikage-sama? Anoki looked back down into the arena. Nothing you need to concern yourself with, Akatsuchi. Hidan took a swing at Naruto with his scythe only for Naruto to blur out of his sight in a burst of speed. He was then thrown back through the sand from a single punch to the jaw from the target Jinchuriki. Hidan stood back up with his jaw hanging loosely before cracking it back into place. He angrily turned to Kakuzu. You can help me out with this punk at any time you know. Kakuzu rolled his eyes. Aren't you the one that always says that you don't want or need my help? Well, prove it this time. Growling at the challenge, Hidan turned back towards Naruto. Fine then. It's no skin off of my nose. He ran back and swinging only to get cracked again even harder this time, getting sent headfirst into a sand dune. Kakuzu looked at the scene in amusement. Actually, it just might be. Heads up. Hidan was about to ask what he meant by heads up when a red claw of chakra wrapped around his body tightly. Gah! What the hell is this? Kakuzu, get me out of this! Kakuzu elaborated. It's the toxic chakra of the Kyubi no Yoko. You should be fatally burned if you were normal, but the way you are you'll be fine. Fuck you, Kakuzu! After this punk, you're next! Hidan yelled as he was reeled in by Naruto's chakra arm. Naruto drew his arm back in a knife-handed strike and forcefully shoved his sharpened claws through Hidan's chest, sending his arm in wrist deep. Naruto then bonelessly cast him away back towards Kakuzu's side. Naruto turned his red eyes to Kakuzu and crouched back down on all fours. Next? Kakuzu shook his head and walked over to Hidan before kicking him in the head. Wake your ass up, you pathetic bastard! After a second, Hidan stirred and stood up, holding his head, instead of his chest where there was a gaping hole. What did you kick me for, you godless team? That actually hurt. A mass of black threads came from Kakuzu's body. Oh, shut up already, you were careless and the kid kicked your ass. Be sure not to let it happen again. Naruto growled. Like hell I'm going to let you heal him. He tensed his muscles to spring to attack once again. A mass of the threads came from Kakuzu's body, and instead of sealing Hidan's wound shut made a strange four-legged body with thin wings and a blue eagle mask at the head. Mind your own business, boy, I'll deal with you in just a moment. Play with my wind element for the time being. Futon, Atsugai, wind release, pressure damage. The mask quickly dashed off towards Naruto before swirling around and making a whirlwind that it seemed to be compressing in place before finally letting the glowing pressurized wind go. The force of the released attack sent Naruto flying off rapidly through the arid landscape. Naruto exploded out of the sand that buried him and glared at the mass that was coming his way once again. He pulled the sword from his back and leapt forward, his tails of chakra propelling him forward. The wind mask attempted to meet him head-on, but with a simple shift of movement with his chakra tails, he barrel-rolled aside and kept blasting through the sand to head back towards Hidan and Kakuzu. Kakuzu had just finished sewing the gaping wound on Hidan's chest shut, amid much swearing and death threats. As a dust cloud rushed towards the two men, Kakuzu's eyes widened. Oh, you're going to want to move. With that he jumped out of the way. Damn it, you know I'm slower than you, Kakuzu. And once again Hidan ended up taking the brunt of Naruto's wrath, this time getting his head cleaved clean off. Not stopping to check over his handiwork, he moved on to the deceptively fast Kakuzu. As Kakuzu backpedaled through the sands he made a snake hand seal that turned his visible skin darker, near black. Doton Domu, Earth Release, Earth Spear. Naruto went to swing his blade at Kakuzu and watched in shock as he simply blocked with his forearm. He then barreled that punch and drilled Naruto in the face that sent him flying back once again. Kakuzu went back over to Hidan while Naruto was still reeling. He picked Hidan's head off of the ground. And that's why you need to actually train to be faster instead of praying to your god. Maybe then you wouldn't suck so badly. The disembodied head of Hidan held a shocked, lifeless face for about 3 seconds before it snarled and tried to bite at Kakuzu. Shut the hell up, you heathen! With a gift like this from Jashin-sama, why would I possibly need to be fast? I can survive anything. Kakuzu walked back over to where Hidan's body had dropped. I don't know, maybe because sewing your pathetic ass back together is getting repetitive. Untalented ninjas should just die and yet you keep sticking around. Just shut up and put me back together already so I can tear that kid open. Hidan snapped. It looks like he's the one tearing you open from what I've been watching, Kakuzu quipped. From where he landed, Naruto picked himself up once more. That felt like getting hit with one of Tsunade-bachan's love taps. I really hope that he can't hit any harder than that or I'm in some trouble here. He powered down and tried to keep a low profile as he crept around the battlefield to attempt some kind of tactic on them, seeing as how brute force just wasn't working. At least he took out one of them. Naruto formed over 20 Kage Bunshin and sent them out and around the perimeter of where he had been knocked away by Kakuzu. Naruto kept himself as concealed as he could as he peeked over a dune and almost bugged out at what he saw. Hidan was getting his head reattached to his body, and it was speaking the entire time. Naruto dropped down back out of sight and had to slap himself to see if he was hallucinating. A genjutsu maybe? No. Maybe that last shot concussed him? No, he'd be over it by now as long as he had been generating 2 tails of the Kyuubi's chakra. Putting aside the thought of how the man could still be alive after being beheaded, how in the world was he still speaking? Didn't he sever some important cords in his throat when he cut his head off? Cutting off someone's head is checkmate, period. Naruto had fought like this, had been trained like this since day one. It was the single most definite way he knew of to finish his opponents off. Now that he seemingly couldn't kill this guy even after shoving his entire arm through his chest, even after severing his head from his shoulders, what could he possibly do to stop this guy? The answer was simple, he would just have to cut and rend him into itty-bitty pieces. Let's see him sew the silver-haired bastard back together after that, but he still needed to get close for long enough to actually do it. That masked guy was no joke. To be able to hit him hard enough to actually harm him, and hold him off when he was using the Kyuubi's chakra was a big deal. Naruto made a Kage Bunshin and dispelled it to send a message of his next move to the rest of them. Kakuzu finished sewing Hidan's head back on. There. It will be easier to decapitate you, but seeing as how the kid uses a sword, if he cut through your neck with it you would be losing that empty skull of yours again anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. From all around them a mass of shuriken flew into the air above them. A slew of similar voices shouted, Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. The amount of shuriken flying above their heads multiplied enough to partially shade the sun from view. Kakuzu pulled Hidan back to his feet. Hidan, get moving now! Right on, Kaminari Shuriken, Lightning Release, Lightning Shuriken! The voices yelled out. Every shuriken hanging in the air rained down electricity onto the 2 men. Kakuzu was able to dodge all of the strikes and get himself out of the area of fire as the false shuriken dispelled, and the real ones fell back down to the ground. Hidan ended up getting hit a few times due to the lightning rod he called a scythe in his hand, but aside from cursing about being hit he was no worse for wear. Naruto's clones dispelled after using all of their chakra to power both of the ninjutsu they had just utilized, leaving Naruto alone on the battlefield once more. Alright then. Naruto moved from his hiding place at top speed in an effort to blindside Kakuzu or Hidan while they were still on edge from his last attack. However, he had forgotten about something that he had left in the dust that came back with a vengeance when Kakuzu's wind mask burst from the ground nearby and smashed into him, sending him flying into the air. Both Nuknin heard and saw the attack. Hidan licked his lips as he leapt into the air to meet Naruto on the way down with his scythe. Here we go, brat! I've been waiting to get my hands on you. Naruto saw him rising into the air as he descended. Well, keep on waiting, Futon, Kaze Wakyakuru, wind release, wind burst. Naruto stepped on an invisible bubble of air that burst under him and launched him higher into the air, forcing Hidan's attack with his scythe to miss. Naruto used the extra space provided by his jutsu to go through a few hand seals and link his fists together. Futon, Fujin Saiken, wind release, divine fist of the wind god. The force of the wind jutsu from Naruto forced Hidan back to the ground violently, kicking up a huge cloud of sand from the impact. Naruto, however, once again got slammed into by the wind mask, knocking him away harshly as it followed up by releasing a powerful gust to push Naruto towards the ground even harder, and keeping him from turning himself upright. Not really the best plan to come out here alone, was it? Kakuzu taunted as he rushed in towards the falling blonde. He launched a punch that extended due to his special technique with the black threads in his body. In mid-flight of the punch, his fist turned dark-colored as he hardened it with Doton, Doma, and nailed Naruto right in the body. Letting blood and spittle spew from his mouth, he was sent flying once more, getting knocked around like a ping-pong ball. Naruto hadn't even touched the ground for 30 seconds and had switched direction and altitude at least 3 times. Before he could impact with the ground and slide along the sand, he found himself caught by the very thing he could see for miles and miles. Naruto then found himself turned around and came face to face with a familiar pair of seafoam green eyes with black rings outlining them with a messy mop of red hair adorning his head. Back in the arena, attention had been grabbed for a moment, as a loud lightning storm had kicked up out across the outskirts of the village. Man, the desert has some weird weather, Kuratsuchi chimed. Makes me glad we live in the mountains. Akatsuchi spoke up next, trying to interject helpfully. We have lightning storms in the mountains too, Kuratsuchi. The girl blushed in embarrassment and pouted. Shut up, Akatsuchi. Kankuro looked around. Where the hell is Gaara? It's time for the finals and he still isn't here. And for that matter, where is Naruto? Did he seriously get lost? Shizune waved off his concern. Oh, you know Naruto-kun. Kankuro rubbed his chin. Yeah, I think I do, because the last time he was here and he pissed off Temari, he ran away, lost her, and hid for the entire day afterwards. He didn't come back to the house until Gaara headed out and dragged him back. There's no way that guy got lost in our village. Gaara didn't tell them where he had gone, so Tsunade figured that when he left he came to the same realization that she did. Any talk about there being an attack would put the city in a panic, especially the currently jam-packed stadium, so Gaara decided to kage up and go defend his village himself. She had to respect that. And clearly Inoki did too, since he hadn't breathed a word of the situation that she was very certain he was also privy to. The old man, currently in her thoughts, put a smirk on his face, proving her right. Wild exams this year, huh? Tsunade laughed humorlessly. You said it. Naruto couldn't help but place a smile on his face as blood trailed down his lip. Gaara, I have never been so happy to be caught in your sand. He then put a dry look on your face. You have cleaned this stuff since the last time I've been in it, haven't you? Gaara raised a non-existent eyebrow. How does one clean sand? Naruto sighed. Never mind, just let me down. Gaara proceeded to do so by dropping Naruto abruptly on his back. I meant gently. I don't do gentle. Gaara deadpanned as he looked out at the two opponents Naruto had been fighting coming back together. So these are Akatsuki members? Naruto nodded as he stood back up. Yep. I hope you got the memo about what these guys are after. Jinchuriki like you and me. So if we lose, prepare to get your soul and your biju sucked out in a painful manner. How did you even find me anyway? Besides the massive bloodlust you were letting off when you accessed the Kyuubi's chakra and the random lightning storm that hit from the middle of nowhere in my desert? Gaara answered sarcastically. And there's no way we're losing here, Uzumaki. Naruto drew his sword from his back once more, debating on whether or not it would be prudent to use the Sennin Kugeki in this situation, since he couldn't guarantee a swift kill even if he was able to dice them up. Kakuzu could apparently sew himself back together with his black thread innards, and if he cut off Hidan's head, and he still got up to fight, he wasn't sure anything else would put him down. And why is that? Because you're the Kazekage? There goes that S-rank superiority complex I keep talking about. Gaara let his lips quirk, faintly displaying his amusement. Tell me, Uzumaki. What is the one thing that I have complete control over? Naruto rolled his eyes. Sand? Duh, Gaara, I knew that. Stop rubbing in the fact that your primary Jinchuriki form is always on and I have to trigger my own manually to get any perks. I've been bitching to you about that for the last few years. Naruto then ended up with a mouthful of sand courtesy of Gaara. Bleh! Gross. Once again I feel I have to mention the fact that you crush people with that shit. I know, Uzumaki. Now please tell me what kind of landscape we currently inhabit. Gaara requested with his arms crossed. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked around and a manic grin slowly spread across his face. At your cue, Kazekage-sama. Gaara's face mirrored Naruto's own on a smaller scale while Kakuzu and Hidan were sizing up the new situation. Kakuzu frowned, though it was unnoticeable through his mask. We may have quipped about coming for the Ichibi Jinchuriki, but we're at an ungodly disadvantage against him here in his own environment. And with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki running circles around Hidan and cleaving his body parts off at will, there's no way we're going to get him now with the Kazekage fighting at his side. We're outmatched. Hidan gripped his scythe tightly, his desire to spill blood temporarily overruled by his common sense actually making an appearance. What's your call, Kakuzu? This was actually a good idea at first, but with this guy here now we can't take them both. Kakuzu nodded. Agreed. But maybe we can get some updated intel on these targets for a bit. Our information has been rather lax since the blonde brat took out Sasori. Hidan chuckled. Whatever you say. Hidan rushed from his spot with an intense shriek and swung his scythe at Naruto and Gaara. The latter blocked the attack with his automatic sand defense and started creeping his sand up the arm of Hidan. Gaara stuck his hand out and turned it to the side before closing it. Sabaku so, sand burial. Hidan's arm was crushed, producing a sizable burst of blood and getting a yell of pain from the silver-haired berserker. He pulled his crushed limb from the sand and ended up getting it severed by Naruto's sword before he could return to Kakuzu's side. Kakuzu rushed to the unprotected side of Gaara and attempted to deliver a heavy kick to the unmoving Kazekage that was blocked again by Gaara's sand. Kakuzu was still fast enough, however, to remove his foot before Gaara could pull a repeat performance of Sabaku's so-so on him. He jumped back. That's a nice defense. It really is something worth mentioning when one speaks of you. I'm forgetting something, Naruto mentioned as he saw Gaara easily defending him from both of the Akatsuki members. Seriously, he wasn't ever looking forward to fighting Gaara ever again, even if it was just a spar. As he said this, Kakuzu's mask came at them both from a blind spot. It started making its movements to attempt Futon Atsugai once again, but Naruto was damned if he was going to let that thing go off near Gaara without a fight. Naruto formed a Kage Bunshin and formed a Rasengan. I'll show you a real wind jutsu. The Kage Bunshin put its hands around the Rasengan Naruto had formed and pumped wind chakra into it, while Naruto maintained the original shape and form of the Rasengan, giving it the appearance of a Rasengan with sharp spikes circulating outside of it. Come on, you ugly, ugly son of a bitch! Futon Rasengan, wind release, spiraling sphere! Naruto met the mask head-on as it was forming the pressurized dome of air and collided the new Rasengan directly with its mask, destabilizing the mask's jutsu. The resulting clash of wind element ninjutsu caused a major outflow of force from the point of impact as a massive tornado engulfed both Naruto and the embodiment of Kakuzu's wind element. The force of the jutsu finally began tearing the black thread body apart, and ended up shredding the mask itself into pieces. Naruto stood with his hand outstretched, cuts on his own palm and insides of his fingers healing from the powerful wind technique. Bachan telling me not to train. How else would I have gotten this down? Hidan clutched at his missing arm as Kakuzu retreated back to his side. The masked man watched with interest. I think we've got enough for the time being. We need to report how dangerous the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is to Leader-sama. He raised his voice so Naruto and Gaara could hear him. This was an enlightening little skirmish. We'll definitely be seeing one of you two sooner rather than later, but for now we'll just let you be. A fight between us now would only be something akin to the unstoppable force against the unmovable object. He and Hidan both made half-tiger seals. Until next time. Gaara raised his hand at both men. Not so fast. Sabaka Q, sand coffin. Gaara covered their bodies in his sand, but before he fully covered their faces he caught a smirk on the face of Hidan. So sorry boys, but rest assured Kyuubi kid. I'll be seeing you again real soon. The sand covered his face entirely, with his dark grin being the last thing seen. Gaara clenched his fist. Sabaka so, sand burial. The sand imploded and gushed blood everywhere before receding back into Gaara's gourd. What a disappointment of a battle. Those were S-ranked missing ninja? Naruto walked over to the corpses and frowned. These aren't the same guys, Gaara. Gaara let slight surprise show on his face as he walked over and realized Naruto was correct. The crushed, unidentified, unmarked men were not the same people that they had been fighting. What kind of henge could do this? A distance away, Hidan and Kakuzu came out of their meditative seated positions and stood back up to return to a base. Hidan dusted himself off. That was actually a solid idea to send in those sacrifices. A damn shame it didn't work, eh? Kakuzu cracked his neck. It couldn't be helped. My own was almost out of chakra, and without me, your copy would have just been diced up. Let's report back to Leader-sama. Thay. Hidan scoffed. Shut up. All of this wasted time sitting on my ass doing nothing. We'd better slaughter a random village or two on our way back. As Naruto and Gaara picked up the remains of the two men who had just been killed in Gaara's jutsu and prepared to return to Sunagekira, a man clenched his fists and glared with his familiar spinning red eyes. Kukukuku. What do you think, Sasuke-kun? Didn't we come all the way out here for you to fight Naruto-kun? Or is the Kazekage too imposing a figure to make a move on him? I am here with you as well, you know. HN. Sasuke stated simply as he turned around and began to walk away. He wasn't even good enough to beat those two on his own. I truly doubt you could do better if you had actually been in there. Kabuto sniped while adjusting his glasses only to get a full-powered glare from Sasuke. Ooh, such a scary face. That's enough, Kabuto. Orochimaru reprimanded his right-hand man. He is correct though. Kakuzu and Hidan are nigh impossible to outright kill. I wonder how you would have handled them if it had been you fighting instead, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke stopped glaring at Kabuto and turned his head towards Orochimaru before turning around and walking away. Whatever. I'm wasting my time out here. Kabuto looked at his master. Why didn't we attack them after all, Orochimaru-sama? Orochimaru grinned predatorily. Akatsuki is just as much a pain in my side as it is a threat to Naruto-kun. If he can run their numbers down, then I see no reason to take the boy's life yet. Let them continue to pick away at one another for as long as the other can stand it. Kabuto nodded in agreement. And about Sasuke? Orochimaru began walking along the direction that Sasuke had just taken. You and I both know that he is still no match for the boy, however in a few months that will no longer be much of an issue, Kabuto, but I'll give him the satisfaction of knowing that his body destroyed Naruto-kun. It just won't be him doing it in the end. As the group walked away, a scorpion that had been crawling nearby disappeared in a puff of smoke. Gaara walked next to Naruto back towards Suna with 2 sand clouds carrying the carcasses of their kills. Are we both in agreement that engaging them all now would not be practical for us? Naruto nodded. Oh yeah? But it doesn't matter, we have more important things to worry about than the body-snatching team. They'll come knocking at some point, and we'll be waiting. We? Gaara questioned. Naruto shrugged. What? You act like you aren't going to get all over this after today. He did manipulate your country into a war with mine, and he is trespassing in your country as we speak. Who knows what else they did while they were here? I'm certain you aren't going to just let that slide when the time comes, Kazekage-sama. Don't call me that, Uzumaki, Gaara insisted. It feels odd hearing that from you. Fair enough. Naruto accepted. I guess it would seem strange for the guy whose house you crashed over at for almost 2 weeks to call you by your title, especially when I'm your age and everything. Hey, I wonder who won the exams. Chapter 30. Homefront Concerns. Naruto stood next to Tsunade as all of the Kage-ranked ninja that had attended the exams stood in front of all of the participants, while the crowd applauded. Naruto had a faint smile on his face as he saw that Ino, Kiba, Chuji, and Sakura had all managed to get promotions from their efforts during the testing period. He was sort of upset that he didn't see any other fights other than the first round, but when presented with the other option of allowing Akatsuki to get the drop on him in a possibly crowded area, it seemed like a hit he had to take for the team. Still, somebody could have told him at least who won the whole thing. When he returned, he had to make an attempt to explain away the blood on his clothes. He couldn't even say that it was his since the amount of blood did not equal up to his current condition since he didn't have a mark on him. After the promotional proceedings, Gaara proceeded to blow his cover, making all of his attempts at playing off his disheveled appearance and what he had been doing the entire time moot. After the tournament had ended, Gaara led everyone back to his office. Naruto and myself engaged 2 members of Akatsuki outside of the village. I believe their names were Hidan and Kakuzu. Naruto nodded as those were the names that he caught from them during their short battle. Tell them the other part, the part that pissed us both off. Gaara acknowledged Naruto with a simple shift of the eyes. They were utilizing some kind of technique that allowed them to use a person as a body double and fight using their own skills and abilities from afar. We aren't even sure that they were anywhere in the entire country at all. Gaara crossed his hands in front of his face as he sat at his desk. That is a most disturbing discovery. Tsunade frowned. With a technique like that, they don't even need to go into hostile areas themselves to achieve their missions. Kuratsuchi scowled as she heard the description of the encounter. How cowardly. You would think that a group of dangerous ninja like that would be more up for coming in person, especially when it comes to something like attempting to take out a Jinchuriki. Naruto grinned. I'm glad you're acknowledging that I'm awesome when you don't even know me. Kuratsuchi rolled her eyes. I was referring more to Kazekage-sama than you. I outrank you? Naruto sat crouched in the corner with an aura of despair around him. Well, you don't have to be so blunt about it. I'm awesome. Right? Everyone in the room ignored Naruto's identity crisis and continued speaking amongst themselves about the situation that transpired during the final examination. Gaara spoke once more. Well, needless to say, the goals of this organization are the capture of all Jinchuriki for the use of their Biju for one reason or another. Nationality means nothing to them, as you can clearly see, they simply desire all of them. Tsunade had on a businesslike face. Reports from Jiraiya said that the Gobi Jinchuriki and the Nanabai Jinchuriki have already been taken. I guess they were looking to press their current advantage and take either Gaara or Naruto while they were on a roll. Anoki had a displeased look on his face. So that was what happened to Han. We assumed he had run off. How they were able to take him with not even a peep is very concerning. He looked at Gaara and Tsunade. Which ones still remain? Tsunade answered him. Those were the only 2 that they were able to obtain. There is still the Ichibi, the Nibi, the Sanbai, the Yambi, the Rokubi, the Hachibi, and the Kyubi. But the way that they blatantly came for either Naruto or Gaara, it was like they didn't have a real strategy. Naruto got up from his spot in the corner to contribute. They said something about intel right before Gaara finished the fight. Oh yes, Gaara said. Sasori had a number of spies, including 2 in this village. 2 of our own counselors were something akin to sleeper agents. After Sasori was killed, they were exposed as his men and were promptly arrested. Apparently Sasori had an entire network of similar spies all over the place spanning back to the days when he first left Suna and became a Nukenin in first place. It was how they were able to ascertain that you yourself were a Jinchuriki back when you were first attacked Naruto. Anoki looked between his two fellow Kage. So what happens now? We know what they're after, should we simply hunt them down? Tsunade shook her head. We don't know where they originate from. As I speak, that's currently what I have Jiraiya out seeking information on. At the moment, the only thing we can actually do is to anticipate their movements and prepare countermeasures. Do you know how many there are for members? Kuratsuchi asked, trying to get some sort of handle on the situation. Naruto scratched his head. Well, I was told that there were 9 or 10 members. Orochimaru used to be a member, but they had a falling out, I guess. You have Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hashigaki, the first ones that I met. There's Hidan and Kakuzu, the two that me and Gaara just got through fighting. And then you have Akasuna no Sasori, the one I killed, and his partner Deidara. Anoki's head quickly turned to Naruto. Did you say that Deidara was a member? Naruto nodded. Yeah, blonde guy, weird mouths in his hands, makes a ton of weird explosive sculptures, that Deidara. Come to think of it, he did have a slashed Iwa Hideate on. Slippery bastard. I'm still kind of pissed off that he got away. Kuratsuchi stared at Naruto in surprise. You beat Deidara and I? Now Naruto still couldn't let on that he had been assisted thoroughly by Sai, lest he blow everything sky high even further. How anyone believed by any stretch of the imagination that he was fully capable of taking on 2 members of Akatsuki simultaneously was beyond him, but he assumed that the proof of Sasori's DNA as his only existing remains was all the proof necessary to say such. Naruto looked at the girl who had her attention firmly on him. I'm here, aren't I? That means he didn't blow me into a million pieces or suck my biju out of my still-breathing body. She still had an incredulous look on her face. Fine, believe what you want to. I don't have anything to prove to you anyway. Kuratsuchi snapped out of it. Watch yourself, Namikaze. Naruto looked at her with a frown on his face. Please don't call me that. Just because he's my old man doesn't mean I'm changing my name or anything. I happen to like my name just the way it is. There's no reason to try and make myself seem more important by adopting his name. Naruto, be silent, Tsunade said officially, climbing the teen up instantly and getting him to stand at attention. She had to hold back a look of shock. That was all it ever took to get him to stifle. Why didn't I just order him to do that after I first took this job? She got herself refocused. This is going to be a problem very soon. If they've already shown the capabilities to kidnap them right from inside of their villages and they're just now being forced to fight to obtain the Jinchuriki, then they might be able to infiltrate Konoha and begin a conflict with Naruto before anyone could assist him. If they work in twos, one could simply deal with Naruto while the other keeps any potential backup at bay. Gaara spoke again. And with the jutsu that they displayed to us, they wouldn't even have to show up in person to complete missions. Although it seemed to make their body doubles nowhere near as effective as their true selves. Uzumaki was able to hold off both of them and seemed ready to keep going, and when I appeared to lend assistance, the battle didn't continue for much longer. Together it was fairly simple to dispatch them. Anoki's mustache twitched. So that means that after this defeat they'll know to actually send the true operatives next time, no matter which Jinchuriki they target next. I need to find and recall Rashi. Gaara looked out of the window at his village. They won't send anyone after me or Uzumaki so soon after the last encounter. They will wait to further analyze the latest information that they have on us from the short encounter. They will probably pursue the other Jinchuriki that are less informed of their existence for the time being. Anoki clasped his hands in a satisfied manner. Well, that's fantastic. Now all I have to do is shore up my defenses and get Rashi back into Iwa and everything will work out. I'm not sure about that, Naruto said plainly before remembering that he was supposed to be silent for the time being. When all eyes turned to him, he gave Tsunade a look asking her for permission to speak. She gestured for him to proceed. Well, how long do you think it will take for you to find this guy Rashi? Anoki shrugged. 2 weeks at least, but we will be able to locate him. Naruto shook his head. That might not be fast enough. No matter where he may be, they still might be able to find him. I went to my ancestral home for personal reasons and told only my Jounin squad leader where I was going, and they still found me. They probably know where he is already and are just waiting him out if they didn't take him already. Tsunade's eyes widened at Naruto's explanation. Do you get reports from Rashi updating you on his condition, Tsuchikage-dano? Anoki growled. No, we don't. I allowed him to leave many years ago to allow him to learn to control the power of the Yambi no Saru. It was better that no one was around while he was training to utilize that power. He had some sort of point there as far as learning to control the demonic power went. To everyone else's knowledge, Iwa didn't really have an area for no-holds-barred training like the other villages had. Soon a ninja could simply head into the desert and cut loose. Kiri Ninja had designated islands that they could use, Kumo had their own mysterious island with many strange and gigantic creatures inhabiting it, and Konoha had the Forest of Death that Naruto used frequently. Allowing him to use his power inside of the village's generally provided training grounds would have been a bad idea for at least half a dozen reasons. The grizzled old Kage continued speaking. So you're saying that he may very well already be captured? Naruto nodded. Well, yeah. I'm not saying it really, I'm more or less speculating, but it's not much of a stretch to say so. That's all we need to hear right now, Naruto, Tsunade said to get him to finish talking. Naruto simply stepped back next to Shizune and stood at attention. Anoki snorted. I still think that these affairs should be handled domestically. The Jinchuriki should be a country's own responsibility. I will not divert any of my forces to assist you to protect your own weapons. This is just a way of keeping the status quo. Gaara and Naruto narrowed their eyes at the weapon comment but didn't say anything about it. Both of them accepted it at this point that they were generally meant to be used as weapons, but to hear the way that he had said it as if they weren't people worked their nerves somewhat. Tsunade, Shizune, Kankuro, and Temari actually visibly took it worse that the two demon containers in the room did if the scowls on their faces were any indication of the underlying tension in the room. Tsunade and Shizune were trying to keep Naruto from rationalizing his thought that way, and they figured it would be hard enough to keep Naruto from labeling himself as a weapon due to his time with Danzo without others actually identifying him as such. Temari and Kankuro had spent years since Gaara's defeat to Naruto making sure that he knew that he was their brother, not just Suna's ace in the hole. Tsunade attempted to speak through the tension. That's fine. Suna and Konoha will simply have to reach out to the other villages with Jinchuriki still remaining to ensure that everyone is prepared for the growing threat. With the knowledge that unless directly involved once more, Iwa would not aid either village, the meeting shifted away from Akatsuki. Damn it! Naruto said dejectedly as he and Shizune had returned to their hotel with Tsunade after the meeting. I can't believe they left to go home already. They probably think that I'm avoiding them. I haven't spoken to anyone else in forever. Shizune patted him on the back consolingly. It's okay, Naruto-kun, you can find them when we get back to Konoha, right, Tsunade-sama? Tsunade was taking the current downtime to paint her nails and answered vacantly. Huh. Oh, yeah, sure, maybe. If I don't have any more missions lined up for him when we get back. Naruto sighed. There's going to be another mission, he said as he walked towards his futon at the foot of Tsunade and Shizune's beds. There's always another mission. Dem overflow of assignments. He lay down on top of his temporary bedding. Tsunade rolled her eyes and kept at work on her nails. Stop whining, brat. You were the one that wanted all of the real missions, remember? Naruto scoffed from his spot on the futon. You work me like a rookie chunin. Now I don't want to be a sissy or anything, but can I get some downtime again? Downtime? Tsunade almost bellowed. Since when do you need downtime, you walking chakra battery? Since you send me on jobs that last a month or longer consecutively, Naruto said as he sat up at the foot of Shizune's bed to let the older woman play vacuously with his hair. The only thing I've had time to do these days is get my hair cut. Do you want to know what I dream about these days? Sleeping in my own bed. There's something wrong with that. I've been getting back-to-back B ranks and the 1S rank you just sent me on, not to mention this one, it should be A ranked, right? Shizune paused in her current actions with her pseudo little brother's hair. Well, why don't you just take some time now, Naruto-kun? We're not going to really do anything until we set out for Konoha tomorrow morning. My job is to watch out for Tsunade-bachan. I'm her first and most vital line of defense, Naruto said. Even if I kept some Kage Bunshin handy around here, if anyone actually attacked her, that wouldn't even slow them down. Tsunade had finished painting her nails and was simply waiting for them to dry. It's good of you to say that, brat, very responsible. Naruto nodded and shut his eyes against the side of the bed. It was a good thing that Tsunade was none the wiser to the very long date he ended up taking Temari on the day before the Chunin exam finals. You've got to love Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and the bounty checks for S-ranked ninja. 5 days later. After getting an early start back to Konoha the next morning, the trip back was as slow as the trip up there. There was a lot to digest nowadays, there was no real doubt about it. Akatsuki was beginning to make their move and the new enemies discovered had somewhat startling abilities. There was seriously a lot of work to do if he was going to be ready for the next encounter, because for all he knew the next 2-on-1 encounter wouldn't be with just a pair of body doubles, it would be the real deal. After the trek back to Konoha and a quick debriefing, brief because Tsunade was there, she knew what happened, and it was after midnight when they got back. Naruto slogged through the empty village streets, 2 out of it to attempt a shunshin to his own house. After kicking off his sandals and dropping his gear, operating seemingly on autopilot all the way through the apartment, he proceeded to drop face first on his bed and black out. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto awakened in a cave setting. As he sat up from his prone position on his back, he looked around. Why the hell was he in a cave? His mindscape should only have been what the Kyuubi knew of Konoha. How the hell did that massive thing know anything of what a cave like this looked like? Come to think of it, why didn't Naruto know what this cave looked like? He was supposed to be able to navigate Konoha blindfolded, and yet he had no idea where he was right now. Taking charge of the situation and wondering why the Kyuubi decided to manifest him inside of his mind tonight, and why he picked this exact area to do so, not to mention what the hell this area actually was. As he made his way to the exit, he made a small noise. As he jumped down from the well-hidden cavern in the cliff wall, he landed squarely at the edge of the woods. He actually did know where he was. He was currently in the forest situated on the backside of the Hokage monument. In truth, nobody ever went back there, even less than the amount of people that ever went to the top of the monument itself normally. I need to come back here in person and check this place out one of these days. I really feel like I'm missing something here. He walked through the forest and eventually found his own personal demon lying down in the middle of a burned-out wasteland. Naruto looked around as he approached before coming to a stop and sitting down directly in front of the Kyuubi. Alright, wake up. I know you can't possibly be asleep because you're the one that brought me here. One blood-red eye opened, staring directly at Naruto. You are still weak. He was kind of right. There were still far too many people with the ability to somehow stop him. Granted, these people were the absolute best of the best, and he felt that a full-scale fight against the true elite, even if it ended in his inevitable defeat, would end with some sort of permanent reminder on their person of their battle with him, that is, even if they were ever the same again. But after getting smacked around by two people that didn't even bother showing up in person to fight, it kind of grated on his mind. Naruto didn't even bother verbally responding. The Kyuubi opened up both of its eyes and sat up on its haunches as it looked its host over. Honestly, you've done as well as can be expected for a mere human child when it comes to using my power. But if 3 tails is the limit of your control, then you might as well surrender your body and relinquish control to me. I can destroy your enemies and ensure the peace of your village. Naruto's lips quirked slightly. Before you come back here and trample this place flat, right? The sharp teeth of the Kyuubi were bared in a grin of sorts. Well, I never said that I would leave this place alone, did I? I simply said that I would destroy your enemies and ensure this village's peace. What better way to do that than to make everyone rest in peace? You're a very funny demon, Naruto commented. And it doesn't matter if I have any more control, I can simply train and get it. It's that simple. It could be simpler, Naruto, Kyuubi said offhandedly. I can be the tool of victory that you want to be. With my true power, I can eradicate any threat that you have ever come across. It would be so easy for you. All you would have to do is entrust your heart to me, and I will make it so easy for you. You know, Naruto started. I've never really considered myself selfish before. He started pacing in front of the massive frame of the Kyuubi. I have to admit, there's a part of me that wants to just give you the reins, to just let you handle everything on the off chance that you aren't simply lying to my face to get me to set you free. To just allow myself the chance to let things go as they may, telling myself that I did the best thing I could. To give up my freedom and body just to ensure that your power would truly be used to keep the promise that I made when I became a ninja, to keep Konoha safe. He stopped walking in circles and got right as close to the Kyuubi's muzzle as he could. But I'm going to be selfish this time. I'm going to find a way to get control over your chakra, and I will get you to help me. I'm going to learn how to beat people without even taking a small hit of your chakra. I'm going to keep everyone close to me safe. I'm going to be normal, and I'm going to be extraordinary. I'm going to finish my last mission to Danzojiji and become Hokage. I'm going to tear Akatsuki asunder, crush them, and throw them into the wind. I'm going to do all of this, because you and I both know that if it really had to come down to it, there's not a whole lot anyone can do to stop me from doing what I want. He turned away from the Kyuubi, who had not taken his eyes off of him, or interrupted him the entire time, and began walking away. And rest assured, when I finally think that I'm ready to do it, I'm going to open the seal and I'm going to kick your big fuzzy ass until you fully accept me as your partner. A partner? Kyuubi scoffed as it lay its head back down on the ground. You mean a slave? It growled as lowly as it could. No, Naruto said as he started vanishing from his mindscape. I meant partner. I'd rather be your friend and ally than your master. Slowly shutting its eyes as Naruto fully disappeared from view, the Kyuubi adjusted itself to get back to sleep. That heart you seem to have developed, Kit. It will either become perhaps your greatest weapon, or it will be the catalyst to the end of your life. The next morning he awoke to the sound of tapping on the window in his room. As he made to turn over and get up, he felt a weight on his back. Looking over his shoulder, he saw Hamiko attached to his back, fast asleep. Damn it, she sleeps in my bed when I'm gone? I don't really know how to feel about that right now. Sheets are clean though. Naruto sighed as he thought of figuring his way out of this without waking her. Turning his head to his window, he saw a male Anbu in a cat mask waiting and watching. Naruto looked at the man with a twitching eyebrow as he made a Kage Bunshin and used Kawarimi to switch places with it before he walked sluggishly to the window. You were just so amused watching that, I'm sure, Tenzo, he remarked before he reached the window, stopping his hand from opening it up as he realized something and pointed accusingly at the man. The masked Tenzo shrugged and motioned for Naruto to open up. A sigh came from the boy as he did as instructed. Hello, Taicho. I wish I could say that it was good to see you, but seeing you means I have to work. Tenzo patted Naruto on the head, getting a frown from the boy that he was sure made the man smile behind the mask. Same to you, Naruto. Hokage-sama is here to inform you to keep yourself at the ready in case any missions open up for you soon. She said something about mission overflow duty and that you would know what that meant. Naruto held back a facepalm. I will never sleep through a meeting ever again, no matter how boring it is. He then spoke out loud. Well, it's better to at least keep me mobilized and let me rest than to send me right back out again. Thanks for the message, Taicho. Tenzo nodded. See you later, Naruto. He then jumped off to resume his usual duties. Naruto ran a hand through his hair and turned back to where his Kage Bunshin was underneath Hamiko with a deadpan look on his face. So what are you going to do about this, boss? Naruto shut the window and walked out of the bedroom, grabbing all of the things he had dropped the previous night off of the floor. I'm going to go do something since I'm up. You're going to stay there until you can come up with a way to get away from her without waking her up. Naruto smirked as his Kage Bunshin glared at him darkly over his shoulder until he left the apartment and shut the door behind him. Upon giving it a few seconds, the Kage Bunshin's glare turned into a grin as he gently rolled over and held Hamiko in his arms. Yeah, I could do that. Or I could just stay like this for as long as I last. His grin widened further when he felt Hamiko snuggle her head further into his chest. Yep, this option is definitely the best. Naruto simply wandered around the village as many were out and about starting their day, and without even realizing it ended up in front of the Hokage Tower. He blinked in surprise as he shrugged and walked past without a second glance. I guess this is what Kakashi-sensei meant by getting lost on the road of life. If this is the first place I go out of instinct, then I really did need a break. Before he got too far, he heard a voice call out to him. Naruto! The blonde turned around to see Sakura walking up to him with papers in her arms. Hey Sakura. Long time no see. And by the way to go on getting promoted. Sakura gave him a smile. Thanks. Being Tsunade-sama's apprentice is working out for me, huh? Naruto chuckled. Yeah, apparently. Just don't ever try to hit me the way she does, ever, no matter what. He said with the utmost seriousness. I get enough of that already from her alone. Sakura's sweat dropped before perking back up. No one's seen you around the village in a while. How are things going? Oh, I met the girl that lives in your apartment too, she said at the end with slight distaste. Naruto frowned at her change in tone. Hamiko-chan's a good girl. She's just a friend that I wanted to help. It's a very long story. Just know that everything that goes on in that apartment is completely platonic. Of course, inwardly he was rolling his eyes. I'm just about 15 years old and have killed more people than you can even reasonably estimate, and yet the prospect of me having sex is enough to upset you. How ass backwards is our society? Well, I'm kind of busy right now. Sakura gestured with the papers in her grasp. I need to get these over to the hospital and then I have to work a shift today, so I'll see you around. Naruto nodded. Yeah, unless our magnanimous Hokage decides to send me on a 6-month tilt between now and dinner time. Sakura waved to him as she walked away. Bye, Naruto. I'll see you later. Tell Shizune Nichan I said hi. And tell Bachan if Nei-chan catches her drinking again and takes her stash, I will not be speeding up my usual delivery just because she lost it all. Naruto said as he went off in the other direction. Well, she certainly does seem way better these days than what I last remember about her. Naruto let out a yawn as he continued on his way, wandering through the village without much purpose to doing so. Well, isn't this an ironic little problem? I've been talking about how I need time off, and when I get it I can't think of anything to do but train or work. After walking about for a little while longer, he wound up in the forests near the residential area. If he was really this hard up for ideas, he knew one thing that needed to be done when he got home. A kunai passed by his face while his mind was elsewhere. Now when a kunai usually comes at him behind the walls of Konoha, he knew it would be either one of two people, and there were very particular ways to pinpoint exactly who it was. Did the kunai cut his cheek? No. Was there a shapely female form hanging off of his back with her arms wrapped around him? Again, no. Did the kunai miss him by a mile in the effort to divert his attention? Yes. Did the damn thing have a pinwheel on it for some reason? Yes. And if he listened closely, he could hear the creaking of a spandex jumpsuit rubbing together at high speeds. The time it took for him to work out this equation in real time, less than 1 second, which was convenient, because that was all the time he had to react to it in one way or another. Now, depending on who was coming for him, he would have one of two reactions. For the first person, he would only have so much time and room to maneuver himself to put himself at an advantage instead of being left to her tender mercies, and by tender I mean with a kunai pushing against his jugular, and maybe his junk depending on her mood. For the second person, there was only enough time for one response, and one response only. Dynamic entry! At a speed that most could only keep up with assisted by a Dijitsu, a spandex-clad figure slammed his foot into the side of Naruto's head before he burst into smoke. A kawarimi combined with Kage Bunshin. Damn it, Rock Lee! Naruto said as he dropped a nearby tree. That would have given me a concussion if that had actually hit. What the hell is your malfunction? Lee was taller nowadays, but other than the growth that came with him growing in age and the Chunin vest he now wore, he didn't look too different at all from the old days. Lee simply gave Naruto one of his gleaming smiles. Naruto-kun, it has been too long since we have seen one another. When was it? Oh yes, during our border patrol mission. What a youthful assignment. Naruto gave him a dry look. We didn't do anything the entire time for 3 weeks except walk around the countryside and check the civilians that crossed our path. Protecting our home from foreign malevolence is always a youthful endeavor, Lee said before shooting Naruto the nice guy pose. Naruto simply stared at him. Uh-huh. How did you even know I was around? I just got back into town and I haven't raised a peep since I've gotten here. That would be me, Naruto, said a calm and familiar voice as Neji came into the picture. He had gotten rid of the straps around his hideate and simply wore a simple black one around his head. Instead of his khaki shirt and dark brown shorts, he now wore traditional-looking black and white robes, and they suited his personality. Naruto would have had to say, I was the one that alerted Lee to your presence while we were training. Naruto looked at the older Hyuga. I had to have been at least half a mile from any training field that you could have possibly been using. Neji smirked. Well, my Byakugan can see up to 800 meters now. Naruto frowned. Show off. Neji shook his head with a satisfied look on his face. Still upset that I was promoted to Jounin before you, Naruto? You found this out almost a year ago during the border patrol. Yes, I'm upset, he replied. You weren't Chunin for even a damn year, and you got boosted over me. Lee! Neji! Called out a feminine voice that landed near all three boys. Gai-sensei wanted to know why you two ran off so suddenly. A girl with her brown hair and a pair of buns on her head dusted off her clothing, which had changed over time. She wore a flowing white Chinese-style blouse and loose red pants, now wore black fingerless gloves, and had a large summoning scroll across her lower back. Of course he would make me come out here after you both. Naruto lifted his hand in a short wave. Hey Tenten. How are you doing? Tenten turned her brown eyes slightly and took in the scarred face of Naruto. Naruto-kun? It's been a while. The blonde rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Yeah, I've kind of been really busy for a while. I'm finally getting some off time, but I could still be called for anything at the drop of a hat. Don't expect me around for too long. Tsunade-bachan has been running me into the ground. Tenten sighed and pinched the bridge of her nose. Why would you call Tsunade-sama a name like that? Naruto shrugged. I have very good reasons to, you can be sure of that. I guess, Tenten said before she saw Naruto shift the sheath on his back. Her eyes lit up. Is that the sword that you replaced your old one with? She asked brightly. Can I see it? Please? Naruto almost face fell. She hadn't seen it yet because when he knew he was going to see Tenten, he left it at home. The danger of leaving his weapon at home was only equaled by the fact that if he brought it, and she got a hold of it, he might not get it back in time to defend himself with it anyway. About that. Tenten turned on her puppy dog eyes. Please, Naruto-kun? Naruto attempted to avert his eyes only to catch Lee giving him a thumbs up and Neji smirking and attempting to hold back laughter. Well, you see. Tenten's brown eyes quivered at him. Please, Naruto-kun? Okay, this was getting ridiculous. Why had she not used this on him yet? Is this a damn genjutsu? He was 1 second away from yelling Kai. Well, she can't even touch it anyway, so maybe he was being paranoid. He reached his hand up over his back. Okay, but ... Before he even said another word, he felt the sword being pulled out of the sheath from behind him and heard Tenten yelp in pain as the sword clattered on the ground. He turned around to see Tenten with her palms cut. Naruto sighed and picked his sword up to resheath it. I tried to tell you, no one can touch it but me. It's an old family heirloom. Tenten waved her hands around as the stinging from the cuts got to her. You have a sentient sword? Naruto shook his head. It's not really sentient. It's more like loaded down with so many seals it would take me months of inspection to find everything on it. It has security for my blood, nobody else can use it but me. Sorry about that. It was my fault, Naruto-kun, and they're just flesh wounds. I'm fine, she assured him. But I still would like to see what you can do with that thing. Hopefully you can swing it around better than you could the last time we fought with swords because I'm way better now. We'll have to see about that, won't we? Naruto said, the two getting closer and closer with challenging grins on their faces before Lee interjected himself between them. Lee, what the hell? Naruto-kun! With all of this talk of competition, I need to challenge you myself, Lee said, with Tenten's sweat dropping and mouthing sorry behind him. Naruto stared at Lee blankly for a second. Okay, Lee, a new contest. This contest will be a grueling one, are you ready for it? Lee nodded vigorously. Okay then, this contest will be simple. Who can go longer without challenging the other one to another contest, that is all. Agreed, Lee shouted. I will win this competition and get one step closer to matching you and proving myself as a splendid shinobi. I'm off to get some advice from Gai-sensei. Yosh! Lee then sped off to find his similar in appearance sensei. Naruto looked at Tenten and Neji, who were staring with their jaws slacked in shock. Naruto chuckled and turned to head home. And that's how you do that. Seriously, Neji, you couldn't handle that yourself back when we were kids, Mr. Genius? He walked away, leaving the other two in the woods. Neji simply stood still until Naruto got out of his range of sight before he activated his Byakugan to stare even more. I think I hate him. I really do. Tenten said mostly to herself. I wonder if I marry him, would I be able to use that sword? Neji turned from staring at where Naruto once was to staring at Tenten. Hey, are you serious? Tenten shook her head and walked off. Of course I'm not serious, she said, getting Neji to sigh in relief before speaking under her breath out of earshot. I mean, a cool, powerful sword would only be a bonus. Deciding that a little lunch was in order, Naruto headed over to Ichiraku Ramen. Upon entering through the curtain, he found his current next-door neighbor with her head set down on the counter and a bowl of ramen by her head. You look pretty out of it, Tayuya-chan, Naruto said, getting enough of her attention to lift her head and turn around with a groan. Are you going to finish that, by the way? He said, pointing to her bowl of ramen. Tayuya grunted slightly and set her head back on the counter. No, go ahead. If I ate any more right now, I would probably just puke it up anyway. Her eyes slightly widened when she really took into account who had just pulled up a seat next to her. So you're actually back. Naruto nodded as he pulled Tayuya's bowl close to him and took a bite of her ramen. It's still warm. But yeah, hopefully I get more time off than just a few days this time. By the way, why do you look so beat up? At this, Tayuya gave him a weak glare. Because when this lady named Anko found out that I was your next-door neighbor and a friend of your caretaker, she took it upon herself to train me until you got back. What the fuck did you do to her? Naruto's sweat dropped. Me? Nothing. She's just pissy because she was called back from a mission we went on together recently. Of course, when she finds me, then she'll leave you alone, if I let her find me. Tayuya pulled herself up onto her elbows on the table. Well then I'll just tell her you're here in the village. Naruto rolled his eyes as he polished off the bowl. That won't do anything. Nobody can get into my house without permission anymore, remember? Unless she somehow catches me in the street or goes far enough into the forest of death to actually search for me, she won't ever get a crack at me. When I don't want to be found, there aren't a whole lot of people that can do it. Mighty full of ourselves, aren't we, Naruto-kun? Ayame asked as she came from the back. She looked over at Tayuya. Are you feeling any better, Tayuya-chan? Tayuya nodded. I'll feel a lot better when I get home and sleep. Thank Kami that Anko has afternoon work at T&I. Hey, I am Michin. Let me get 3 bowls of miso ramen, Naruto said before a smirk adorned his face. And Tayuya-chan? What happened to that? I thought I was the only person that could say that. Tayuya-chan, didn't we have something special? Ayame giggled as she took down Naruto's order while Tayuya scowled. If by something you mean you kicked my ass twice and captured me the second time, then yes, we have something. Naruto put a hand on her shoulder and hugged her from the side. I love you too, Tayuya-chan. Her cheeks slightly reddened. If I wasn't so drained from this morning, I would kick your ass right now. Naruto grinned. And that's why I did it. One day later. Naruto sat on the couch in his apartment staring at a wall full of whatever information he could pull up on the members of Akatsuki that he was aware of. Hamiko was seated next to him with a new accessory, a black choker with gold fastens in the back and an emerald across the throat, Naruto's gift to her. He had tons of stuff about Itachi Uchiha. Him being a former shinobi of his village got him an abundance of information on his skills. Kisame, his partner, also had a fair amount on him. Apparently he had a little run-in with Konoha ninja many years ago where they were able to ascertain a lot of this stuff. While the thought of a fight with either of them still raised hairs on the back of his neck, he could honestly say he felt his chances against Kisame were far greater than if he had to go up against Itachi Uchiha for real. The files he had on Kakuzu were old, very old. They were so old that Naruto was astounded that the man was still alive and was an active shinobi of the highest level. If Kakuzu's body double hadn't been on the scene, he was certain that Hidan's body double would have been obliterated in no time, and simply the presence of the man's body double was enough to tip the tides of the fight. How strong was the genuine article? However, he didn't have much. Just under forbidden abilities was Jiangu, Earth Grudge Fear, and due to it being an old Hijitsu from Takigakure, he didn't have anything on it. There was nothing on Hidan whatsoever. The not dying after getting his head cut off thing was irking Naruto, but there was simply no data on it for him to analyze. If they met again, he was going to have to get creative to win decisively. There was nothing but Naruto's handwritten notes taken from his own point of view and that of Hamiko's for Deidara, as Iwa wasn't exactly very forthcoming with that information. So one was down, there were 5 more that he knew of, and there were 3 more that he didn't. In addition to that, they only had at the most a little over half a year to find Sasuke Uchiha before Orochimaru turned him into his own personal Uchiha body skin and then came back to Konoha to raze the place to the ground, which would give them 9 months to a year from now, accounting for Orochimaru's time needed to adjust to the new body and mobilize for another offensive. Why was he the only person that seemed to take this little aspect into account? He needed to find Sai, and Jiraiya needed to get his ass back to Konoha in a hurry. They had work to do. Chapter 31. To be the shield or the sword. Tsunade stood on top of the Hokage Tower looking up at the sunset-drenched mountain that now bore her visage. You need to go see the brat. His house is starting to look like the inside of a hodgepodge file cabinet. Get him to calm down some. Jiraiya looked at her from the corner of his eye as he looked out onto the village. Get him to calm down? He isn't losing it about the whole Akatsuki thing, is he? I figured that he would be taking it way better than that. Tsunade shook her head. He's not losing it. I mean, it isn't like he's scared of them, or scared of them taking him, nothing like that. He seems more tense these days though, more along the lines of the way he used to be when I first met him. Jiraiya looked at her as understanding washed over his face. That was enough proof that he was feeling the squeeze of the situation. When Naruto was with Jiraiya looking for Tsunade, he was scared. He would never have said so, he would never have even shown it, but Jiraiya could feel the fear on him no matter how well he hid it. He was weak. He had just been attacked by Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hashigaki, and a few days prior to that he had just been unsealed and had a multitude of questions and concerns to work out. That had to have been a stress tidal wave hitting right after a simultaneous stress earthquake and volcano. Coming back to Konoha to see the boy mellowed out after the failed Sasuke retrieval really did Jiraiya's mind good. Tsunade continued. Every wall of his apartment living room is plastered with all kinds of amassed information, patterns of known movement, hot points of contact, eyewitness reports of known members, personal files on whatever he could get on each, which for more than a few isn't very much. He has a room full of clones going over this information and either spends the rest of his time studying with Hamiko or in the Forest of Death, and that would concern me if he hadn't been using it as his own personal playground for the last few years. Jiraiya made a noise of acknowledgement. Maybe I should take him with me again? A trip elsewhere should do him some good. Maybe I can get into what his deal is once we get away from the village. Maybe he's just nervous. It's understandable, he has a lot on his plate. Tsunade took a moment to think about it. A trip to where though? I don't think I can swing another training mission. I barely got the last one through the channels since I was sending him alone. The elders sure loved that idea, Tsunade said sarcastically. Jiraiya waved it off. Just give us any old rinky-dink chore. Preferably one that takes us out of the country for at least a week. That kid can be one tough nut to crack when he wants to be, and I have a feeling he isn't waiting for someone to spill his guts about his anxiety to. All right then, Tsunade said as she turned to face him at last. I'll get it set up soon after I go over what we need done. He just got back from a short courier run earlier today, so I'll leave it up to you whether or not to see him now or later. Jiraiya scratched his chin. Where is he now? Tsunade smirked. The Forest of Death, if I would hazard a guess. Jiraiya let off a sweat drop. I'll go see the kid later. Kanahigaku no Sato, outside of Training Area 44 aka Forest of Death. The light of the moon bathed him as Naruto was on his hands and knees dripping sweat after his most recent episode with his most prolific adversaries, the giant spiders in the Forest of Death. Naruto panted and glared at the sword in his grip on the ground. Pant, you certainly crap out at the absolute worst times imaginable. I swear you do it on purpose. Naruto then proceeded to flop face first on the ground to give himself a moment of rest. He went directly into the known nest area of the spiders to test the limits of the Sennin-Kugeki transformation of the Senninki no Ken the best way he knew how, with wanton slaughter, and the endless waves of spiders that had become his favorite targets / the bane of his existence were the perfect test dummies for him and his bladed gauntlets and greaves. The good part about the training, the blades were as good as he assumed they were. He cut right through the spiders like a hot knife through butter. It was absolutely effortless. His senses, reflexes, and physical attributes were heightened exponentially just from wearing them, and it seemed that the longer he had them on the stronger he seemed to get. Every spider he cut down was seemingly replaced by two like always, but he couldn't have cared less at the rate he was slicing them apart. He was moving so fast by the end that the blades didn't even get any spider gore on them. Then came the bad part. That little feeling of supreme authority and superiority over the eight-legged lower life forms came at a price, as it always had. The power growth was apparently something of a supernova, as it just left him all at once, no fading, no waning of energy. When it decided to go, it took everything with it all at once. The euphoria of showing those stupid spiders who exactly the boss of that woodland area was and who ran things with an iron fist in the Forest of Death caused Naruto to lose track of time. Now he had painstakingly prolonged the amount of time he was able to keep going while using the Sennin-Kugeki from the pitiful 5 minutes he displayed against Sasori to 15. Still pathetic, supremely pathetic. But time flies when you're cutting down mindless drones by the dozens. When the 15 minutes that he lost track of time of elapsed, it took everything he had to not instantly drop to the ground and black out. By all rights he should have been devoured by the damned plagues of the forest, but he saved himself at the very last second with a quick boost of Kyuubi's chakra so that he could. A human-sized orange toad in a blue jacket poked at Naruto with a slight glare on his face. Don't you ever do that again, Aniki. I never want to see another goddamn spider for as long as I live. I should body slam you. Summoned Gamakichi. Naruto rolled over slightly. I never make you do anything. I can't remember ever making you actually fight anything. Ever. All I ever make you do when I summon you is either train with you, or get you drunk and feed you. Cashing in all of that goodwill for you running a few kilometers to get us out of a forest is nothing. Gamakichi frowned. Well, I did get to test out the blade the old man gave me. He grumbled to himself for a moment. Next time call Gamatatsu to do the hard work. Naruto scoffed. If I had summoned Gamatatsu, he probably would have just sat there and watched me get eaten before asking the remains of my spider-violated corpse for a snack. Gamakichi was about to respond before he dropped it. Okay, you've got me there, but you owe me big next time you summon me. Oh, for sure, Naruto said as he tried to push himself up onto his elbows. And I'll repay you by not telling Gamabunta that you blew up his stockpiles of sake when you were practicing Katan, Gamea Enden, Fire Release, Toad Oil Flame Bullet. Asshole, Gamakichi complained. I told you that in confidentiality. Naruto let out a weak laugh. You told me that in a bald-faced alcoholic haze. Gamatatsu may be dumb, but at least he holds his liquor better than you. Whatever. Gamakichi dismissed. Summon me to hang out later, or to meet that silver-haired girl you live with that has the nice tates again. You were right, they are great. Naruto opened his mouth to curse Gamakichi out, and ask how the hell he knew he said that when the toad grinned at him. I'm not the only one that says confidential stuff when I'm smashed, Mr. Gropey no hentai. Catch you around, Naruto and I. He then dispelled in a puff of white smoke to return to his mountain. Naruto sighed and rolled over onto his back, looking straight up at the stars. Come outside. I need you to drag me back to the apartment anyway. I'm wiped out. Sai appeared from the tree line inside of the gates of the Forest of Death with a plain look on his face. You have groped Hamiko-san? Naruto glared at him. She's always coming in my bed to sleep with me and I tense up at night. Fratricide of a grabby nature is par the course if she keeps doing it. Whatever you say, Naruto-senpai, Sai said, getting a growl from Naruto. Danzo-sama has sent me to inform you that he's already given you everything he could conjure on the Akatsuki. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Everything he could or everything he would? Don't give me that crap, Psycho High. I know Danzo Gigi knows more than he's giving me. Sai blinked emotionlessly. He has handed over everything to you that corresponds to your current situation. Nothing else he has on Akatsuki is relevant to your plight. I made sure to push your suspicion to the contrary on him to get him to say as much. That's bullshit, Naruto said as he looked back up at the night sky. Fine. He's given me more than the official records have forked over, at least, that's for damn sure. You know Hamiko has been asking when she would see you again. I think seeing one of her first friends would make her happy. Sai walked over to the down Naruto. I don't have friends, Naruto-senpai, you know this. You know how we are supposed to be. Naruto sighed. Yeah, I tried telling her that, but she didn't listen. She thinks she's friends with you, and from the way we both met her I can see why she would, even if you don't think so yourself. Just drop in and say hello, if nothing else one of these days, it would make her smile. Sai put one of his creepy fake smiles on. You can make yourself smile without emotional provocation, senpai. She can smile without my presence. Naruto let off a sweat drop. I mean a legitimate smile, you know, because she's happy to see you. Naruto sighed when Sai gave him a blank look. Never mind. I forgot who I was talking to. Damn it, you're going to get the concept of happiness, and all of the other emotions even if I have to beat it into you at some point. Sai kicked a prone Naruto, eliciting a grunt from him. It doesn't look like you can beat anything into anyone at this point in time, senpai. Would you like me to inform a medic nin of your condition? Naruto paled. No, just drag me home. Tsunade-bachan said that she would kick my ass if she found out I was overtraining in the forest of death again. A smile then came to his face. Hey, this would kill two birds with one stone. You can get me to the apartment, and see Hamiko-chan at the same time. Chop chop Kohai, get me out of here. Sai would have rolled his eyes if he had the emotional inclination to do so. As you wish, Naruto-senpai. Instead of dropping Naruto off like a normal human being would, i.e. getting the key from him, opening the door, setting him on the couch, you know, things that a friend would do, Sai dropped Naruto in a heap at the front door of the apartment, and knocked on the door before disappearing in an ink shunshin. Naruto groaned from his spot on the ground. Psycho High, you asshole! Naruto mumbled. After a moment, a pair of familiar amber eyes opened the door, looking around curiously before seeing Naruto on the ground. Naruto-sama? What are you doing on the ground? Hamiko asked with a slight tilt to her head. Naruto looked up at his assistant with a dry look on his face. Didn't you know? One of my favorite things to do is get chakra exhaustion and lay down on concrete floors directly outside of my apartment door. Hamiko puffed her cheeks out indignantly. Well, if that is the attitude you're going to have about it, then I guess you can spend the rest of the night outside. Ignoring the indignant face Naruto had put on at that point, she shut the door. What? This is my house. How in the blue hell are you going to lock me out? Naruto got over his shock after a second and inched his way closer to the door with his chin before slamming his head into it, forgetting completely about the security measures on it that rejected his forceful endeavor and sent him flying into the back railing, sounding a massive clang out as he smacked the metal with his body. Ugh. Like that, obviously, because it may be my house but they aren't my seals. Hamiko-chan, let me in! Her muffled voice sounded out from inside. If I let you in, Naruto-sama, you wouldn't learn anything. I'll get you in the morning. Naruto blinked in confusion for a moment before yelling. What the hell am I supposed to be learning? What the hell was that? The door next to Naruto's apartment opened to reveal the confused red-haired neighbor of his that finally looked upon his form, upside down, heaped against the railing, eyebrow twitching. An amused grin crossed her face as she sauntered over to him casually and kneeled down to him. Having some trouble, Uzumaki? Naruto let a mildly amused smirk adorn his features. I've graduated to you using my surname, have I, Tayuya-chan? I'm so happy. His smirk turned to a frown. I pissed off Hamiko-chan and I do not have the energy to open my door due to me blowing all of my chakra heedlessly. Open it for me, would you? Tayuya raised an eyebrow. Hell no. I've tried opening your door before. The first time it shocked me, the second time I lost consciousness and woke up in the forest of death, and this time after seeing what happened to you I'm not touching that door. Naruto looked up or down depending on your point of view and thought. It sounds like Hamiko's rotating seal works. The first time you tried to open it during the morning, the second time you did it while I was training and it helpfully directed you to where I was at the time, and this time the seal just wanted to get rid of you. If I had punched the door instead of hitting it with my chin to get a knock, it would have sent me flying all the way to the Hokage Tower. He rolled his shoulders and slid down the railing, ending up on his back on the ground. Just get the key from my pocket, and you can just open the door. Tayuya gave him a long hard look. Can't you just cancel the seal yourself? Naruto sighed. 2 reasons why I can't. I can't move my hands or generate the chakra to make the 21 hand seals to cancel the security, and Hamiko-chan changed the password. Right, Hamiko-chan? Yep. She chirped cheerfully from inside. Tayuya shrugged and reached into both of his pockets. Let's see. Gum, frog wallet, frog wallet? Never mind, piece of paper with an address on it, in women's handwriting. I'm keeping that. Naruto glared at her. Tayuya ignored him and kept perusing his pockets. Receipt for 17 large bowls of beef ramen from a Chiraku. Not particularly surprising at this point, but still disturbing. Handwritten note for the usual order of empty Meyer Boke of Firebrand's sake along with the usual payment, and whistles nice size Uzumaki. Naruto blushed and growled at her. Get the key, damn it. Tayuya freed her hands from his pockets. Yeah? Oop, bad news, Uzumaki. She opened her hand to reveal that Naruto's house key had been broken. Sucks for you. Naruto sighed. For Kami's sake. He rolled his eyes and adjusted himself in a laying position on the floor. Well then I'll see you tomorrow, Tayuya-chan. That is unless someone gets lucky and actually takes me out tonight because I can't fight back against a damn civilian as I am right now. Tayuya stood there looking down on him for a moment before grabbing his ankle and dragging him inside of her apartment, getting a look of surprise out of him. Don't give me that look, asshole. You're the entire reason I'm alive right now, so if I didn't help you out that would make me one miserable bitch, right? The redhead dropped his ankle outside of her bedroom door and pointed at him. I'll get you set in a moment. Can you even move? Naruto wiggled his fingers and toes. This is all I can do for at least the next few hours. Tayuya grumbled to herself and lifted Naruto up before walking into her room and dropping him halfway onto the bed. There, now be a good idiot and stay there for a moment. Yes, ma'am, Naruto said as he took the time to look around Tayuya's room. As he thought, it was pretty par the course for a room. He didn't expect anything else from her, like a room full of stuffed animals or something, because that would have been girly, and the only thing girly about Tayuya was that she was a girl. Combat flute on the nightstand, yep, he expected that. A few pictures of her and some of the people she had met in Konoha like Sakura, which surprised him, Shikamaru, surprising seeing as how he thought his attitude would cause her to strangle him, and Ino, polar opposites, enough said. It was good to see that she had some friends besides him. Perhaps the fact that she was so close to him helped her get their trust. Tayuya re-entered the room with her hat off and now wearing a long t-shirt. Shirt off, shithead. Upon seeing Naruto's questioning look, she sighed. Unless you would like to stay fully and perfectly dressed while sleeping. Naruto acquiesced to the request, removing his shirt and sword slowly because he could still barely move. Tayuya grinned at him at how long it took to accomplish the action. You're a helpless bastard, aren't you? She said as she took his sandals off. Anyone could do anything that they wanted to you if they wanted, couldn't they? Naruto's thoughts kicked into gear with the way she said that. Okay, from personal experience, whenever someone comments on how helpless I am, bad things have happened, like in my root training. I'm going to find that personality and physical conditioning bastard and kick him in the balls one of these days. What was I thinking about again? He asked himself right before Tayuya planted a kiss on him and forced him back onto the bed. After a moment she broke away and moved her hair from in front of her face, leaving Naruto looking up at her with a largely unchanged look on his face before he smirked. Oh, so that's why you said that. You're going to rape me now. Tayuya's eye twitched. Well, if you don't want me to fuck you, just say so. Naruto looked at her amusedly. What in Kami's name gave you the idea that I didn't? After that, if I had the energy to, I would have flipped us over and showed you who was boss. I'm going to ask what brought this on though. Tayuya blushed slightly. Well, honestly, I was going to do this a long time ago. Like when we had that clusterfuck mission to Kirigakure, yeah, I was going to try this then, but you left the entire time and came back beat up and with Hamiko. Oh, Naruto said in understanding. So the whole me coming back with a girl thing threw you off from saying that you low dash dot. Tayuya cut him off sharply by jabbing him in the chest. Do not fucking finish that sentence because I fucking don't. You will never ever hear me say that to you, understood? You're a decent looker, you're a nice guy, and you're a hell of a lot more reasonable to choose than any other guy in this place. I mean, who else my age is there to choose from that might actually be a decent lay? With that, Naruto grinned. Oh, so you have an itch that you need me to scratch, do you? Tayuya stared at him. Why are you not flustered by this? You haven't had sex before, have you? That was the one part of the training that Danzojiji never had the time to get me to finish, damn seal. Naruto gave her a robotic look. No, but still. I have seen you naked before. He grinned when he saw her face. I snuck around Oto's original main base in Tano Kuni for 9 months and went everywhere and saw everything. Do you really think that the women's showers weren't one of the places I hit? Spies don't have dignity. Tayuya mouthed at him silently before settling for glaring at him and sitting on his chest. I'm going to make you pay for that. She leaned down with a smirk on her face. And the best thing is, you aren't going anywhere, Whiskers. Lemon start. Naruto blinked at the intent of her tone before looking up at the hideate on his head. Could you take that off for me, Tayuya-chan? She looked confused at why that mattered at the moment but did as he asked. Upon lifting the cloth from his forehead, a pill fell from the folds and landed in his mouth. What the hell was that? Naruto grinned and swallowed. Emergency soldier pill. With renewed strength and vigor, Naruto flipped Tayuya over, getting a yelp of surprise from her. Now, what were you saying about you making me pay? Naruto's fingers crept along her sides until he finally pulled the shirt off, revealing that she had nothing on underneath. He spoke to her with a smile on his face as he gently squeezed her C-cup breasts. I still don't know why you wear those bulky clothes, Tayuya-chan. Your figure is killer. What's that scar on your shoulder? Tayuya writhed beneath him. You did that when we chased you out of Oto, you bastard. She let out a yelp that turned into a moan when he switched to pinching her nipples. Well then, we're even, little miss Scar my face, Naruto said as he let one hand go to take off his own pants and boxers. Showing his ability to multitask, he took one of Tayuya's erect pink nipples into his mouth while finishing undressing. Tayuya pulled Naruto down into a searing kiss and broke away just as roughly. Kimimaro did that, you team. Don't blame me. You were an accessory, Naruto said as he picked her up and placed her roughly against the wall, getting a loud bump for his trouble while continuing with the kiss. Naruto switched from her lips to her neck and collarbone, at times leaving shallow bites. His actions forced Tayuya to bite her own lip lest she keep moaning and possibly inflate his ego. What the fuck are you doing? Where are you taking me? She asked as she noticed that he was moving closer to the door of the bedroom. Naruto kept silent until he brought her into the bathroom and stepped into the shower, still holding on to her. I never got to shower after training, so I'm killing two birds with one stone here. His hands found the cold water faucet first and turned it on, laughing to himself at her yell of surprise at the cold water while feeling the goosebumps on her skin. Tayuya growled and slapped him hard on his wet back, leaving a red mark. Turn the hot water on, ass! The smirk that formed as he obediently did as ordered turned to a look of contentment on her face when the steam from the shower began to cloud the bathroom. Fuck me already, you lightweight, or can you not keep holding little old me up? Naruto scoffed. Testy, aren't we? You're so lucky that I always thought you would be a violent lover in the first place and knew this was coming. I'm surprised you didn't bite me yet, oh god damn it! Naruto exclaimed as the brown-eyed redhead bit down on his earlobe. That's it, payback's a bitch, Tayuya-chan. Naruto positioned himself carefully at her pussy before inserting himself slowly until he found himself buried fully. No hymen? Tayuya adjusted to the feeling of the blonde inside of her. No, I broke it years ago. Orochi team's training was a fuck, she cried out as Naruto sharply thrust into her. Stop talking, Tayuya-chan, Naruto said as he held her up against the wall of the shower and pounded into her. I would rather hear you scream. Tayuya bit her lip and glared out of the corner of her eye as she held onto him tightly. Like hell, I'll give you the satisfaction of thinking you're a stud. You've got another thing coming. The time from that point forward was split for Naruto between marveling at the way Tayuya felt wrapped around his cock and studying her facial expressions. Naruto lovingly kissed the scar on her shoulder before shifting his grip from her hips to under her thighs, pushing her legs up over his shoulders. As he started plowing into her from this position, he felt her nails dig into his back, and after looking at her face he saw her eyes shut tightly as her breasts became pants. His thrust slowed when he felt his lady friend's body tighten in his grip, signifying that she had reached her climax. Did you come? Naruto asked, getting a tired nod from Tayuya. Naruto let her down and kissed her, still holding her soaking body against the wall of the shower. They broke once again and stood in place while Tayuya caught her breath, placing her head against Naruto's chest. But you didn't. Naruto rubbed her back soothingly. I know, Naruto said, turning off the shower and grabbing a towel to dry himself and her as well. I'm surprised, apparently I'm a fucking juggernaut. Tayuya let the towel drop and she took Naruto's hand, dragging him back into the room and throwing him on the bed. Before he could verbally or physically respond, she had climbed on top of him and started kissing his chest, one of her hands working his shaft slowly to keep him hard. Tayuya wasn't going to let this lie. There was no way she was getting hers and he wasn't getting his. She was benevolent like that. Tayuya swung her leg over him and positioned herself over his cock before descending and placing Naruto's hands on her waist. Help me out here, Uzumaki. I'm not doing this by myself. Tayuya started to bounce up and down on him, with Naruto helping her momentum. Tayuya's hands were placed on his chest, keeping her upright when Naruto pulled her down for a kiss. Naruto started pumping upward into her from the bottom more aggressively than he had in the shower. Tayuya moaned and held Naruto's head in her bosom as her blonde lover kept up a furious pace while holding her down. Tayuya threw her hair back and looked down at Naruto's face to see that his pupils suddenly dilated. After spending a lot of time around medic ninja like Sakura, she knew what this was a symptom of. "You Uzumaki, your eyes." Her comment was kept inside as Naruto rolled over and fucked her furiously. Naruto's eyelids started fluttering. "I know, Tayuya-chan, the soldier pill is crapping out on me. Don't you dare wuss out on me here," Tayuya cried out as she buried her fingers in his hair. "You haven't come once and I'm about to do it again, now finish MMP." Naruto once again cut her off by burying his mouth onto hers. Tayuya wrapped her legs around him to pull him deeper inside of her. Naruto let go of the kiss only for Tayuya to bite his bottom lip. "Oh. Damn it, I knew you were a violent fuck, and I couldn't care less. Let go, Tayuya-chan, I'm going to come." "Not on your life." Tayuya breathed out from underneath him. "It's alright, I promise, go ahead." Naruto rolled them over into a sitting position and held Tayuya close to him, while bouncing her up and down on him. Naruto buried his face in her collarbone as he finally shot his seed inside of her, and the force of his climax was the trigger for Tayuya's as she followed him shortly thereafter. Naruto collapsed backwards with the girl still on top of him, breathing heavily. With the last of his energy, Naruto lifted Tayuya off of his cock with a pop and set her down next to him. The blonde yawned and pulled her close to him, smiling to himself when she didn't fight the intimate contact. Tayuya rubbed her cheek against his chest. "Next time you better go longer." Naruto shut his eyes, chuckling weakly to himself. "Next time, huh?" And lemon. The next day, Naruto emerged from Tayuya's apartment far more chipper than he had entered. So much so that he felt giving Tayuya a morning wake-up was called for, a wake-up that was more along the lines of a repeat shower session. Heading directly next door, he found the security seal disabled, allowing him back in. Sitting on the couch in the living room was Hamiko, going over her sealing notes, with a smile on her face. "Good morning, master." Yes, it is." Naruto smiled and walked past her towards his room. "Good morning, Hamiko-chan." The house was in comfortable silence for a moment before Hamiko shut her notes, and looked at Naruto, who had returned to the living room. "I guess I need to teach you how to make privacy seals again, huh, master?" she said with a sly smile. Naruto stopped in his tracks and stared at her like a startled deer. "You heard us last night?" Hamiko giggled. "I really doubt that anyone in the entire complex didn't hear Tayuya yelling at you last night. At least you had fun, right?" Hamiko laughed out loud at the look on his face. "If I were you, when you leave today I would take the window." Naruto silently nodded in agreement and pointed his thumb back towards his room. "Right, well, I'm going to shower and get some new clothes on." "Okay," Hamiko said cheerfully. "I will have breakfast ready when you get out." Naruto retreated out of the living room, and after a moment, Hamiko turned to an empty corner in the room. "You got all of that, didn't you, Jiraiya-sama? The job is done." Jiraiya dropped his transparency jutsu and had a smile on his face as the shower turned on. "Well, I told you to get him to take the edge to get his mind off of Akatsuki, and he ended up doing what I thought you would set up, but I thought more along the lines of you doing it yourself." Hamiko shrugged. "If it were me, he could have simply told me no, and I would have had to listen. He basically had to do what Tayuya said to do, and since he was exhausted in the first place, he wouldn't have fought back if he wanted to at all. Besides, she has known him longer than me. It is only fair that she gets him first." "First?" Jiraiya said as his smile turned into a perverted grin. "And that means?" Hamiko showed no real reaction to being teased. "It means what it sounds like, Jiraiya-sama." She then moved towards the kitchen without missing a beat. If only it were that easy to get Master to stop eating ramen for the bulk of his meals. Jiraiya opened the front door and left before pulling out a small notepad and writing down speedily. "This brat is going to be my muse for the next decade." That afternoon, Jiraiya looked over at his blonde apprentice, who simply couldn't find it in him to put any kind of scowl on his face. "You seem to be in an unusually good mood today, Gaki." Naruto looked over at Jiraiya as they walked and looked forward with a small grin in place. Many good things have happened." Jiraiya nodded in understanding. "Yeah, I assumed you would end up doing the Odo chick first. All of the factors were there. She knew you closely, you dominated her already outside of the bedroom, you live right next door, you might be a sucker for aggressive redheads like your old man due to genetics. Yep, all there." Naruto glared slightly at Jiraiya. "And you are aware of this because?" Jiraiya patted him on the head. "Tsunade got a list of noise complaints from your complex this morning. Oddly enough, your apartment and hers were conspicuous from that list." He sniffed a fake tear. I am so proud. You make an old man happy to be your godfather." Naruto pushed his hand off. "I'm not a sucker for anything, don't be creepy, Aro Kyofu. And where are we going anyway?" Tsunade-bachan didn't even want to make eye contact with me when I walked in today, and you already had a busted-up mug before you shooed me out and we got going. Jiraiya's face turned serious. After your little episode in Suna, we're going to start reaching out to the other nations to see who would like to join forces to deal with Akatsuki. Right now they only have 2 of the Biju, but this is going to become a much bigger problem very soon with the players we have in action. Naruto frowned at how he remembered that he was barely able to fend off the 2 body doubles of Hidan and Kakuzu until Gaara arrived. If he fought Hidan he was sure he could win, but Kakuzu he wasn't that sure. The next time he would be hitting harder, moving faster, and the fight would be going to a finish. He looked at his godfather. But why am I coming? Aren't you way more important in the grand scheme of things than I am? How would bringing me even help you? Because kid, you're the Jinchuriki that has had the most run-ins with the Akatsuki and has survived so far, you even took one of them out. Jiraiya explained. No matter what anyone wants to say to you about it, your input is important. So, Naruto started. Where are we going? Jiraiya pulled out a map and pointed. To probably the only place with a Jinchuriki that is on good terms with you besides Suna. We're heading up to Kumo to start. At least we know that they'll listen to what we have to say before they kick us out of the country. Naruto nodded but had his mind elsewhere. What do I do from here, Ero Kyofo? I think I've hit the wall. I don't think I'm going to get much better than I am now. I can't seem to use any more of the Kyuubi's chakra, and from the way I was ragdolled in Suna that won't be enough for a guy like Kakuzu, and he's not even the leader. A questioning look came from the old sage. What about the other one? Naruto waved him off. I already know how I'm going to beat that team. But between Hidan, Kakuzu, Itachi, and Kisame this is looking like one steep mountain to climb. Then there's that Deidara that got away. He knows how I fight so he'll be more dangerous if we meet again. Naruto sighed to himself, he had never asked this before. I need your help. You what now? Jiraiya asked, genuinely surprised. Naruto had never asked for his help, not once. Not to learn the Rasengan. Not for training to improve his atrophied attributes, not to find out his lineage, not even on how to get a better rapport with his summons, not anything. To be honest, he had been wondering when this would come up if it ever would. The kid seemed like a problem solver. You need my help? For what? Naruto looked at his hands and balled his fists. I'm supposed to be Konoha's ace in the hole, the village's ultimate tool to protect it. Well, what good is a tool if it gets stolen by someone else? Gaara's stronger than me now. He's a Kage, and I'm just a Chunin. I was losing that fight against those 2 in the desert. It wasn't even a matter of being powerful. I was pumping out 3 taels worth of the Kyuubi's chakra and they kept coming. Kakuzu just seemed to step his game up that much better to compete, and Hidan just would not stay down. Naruto shut his eyes and walked ahead. People like to refer to Jinchuriki like me as monsters, as inhuman. Well then what do you call guys like that? Definitely not normal. They're all freaks, and they just get freakier as you run down the list of them. They're all prepared on how to fight me. They can find me anywhere in the entire world, and they can attack anytime they want to. He stopped and looked back at Jiraiya. How am I supposed to win when fighting at my best wasn't good enough? Jiraiya stayed silent until Naruto was finished before walking up to Naruto and punching him square in the jaw. The shot sent Naruto flying off of the path down a hill into a field on the side of the road. Naruto pulled himself to his feet, wiping the blood from his lip and planning to retaliate when Jiraiya spoke. That's how. Jiraiya stood at the top of the hill looking down at Naruto, who finally stood up. You want me to magically show you what you need to do? Or do you want me to give you some miracle move that will kill all of your enemies in a split second, find the answer to world peace, and make it shower down gold coins all across the landscape? I can't give you the answer of how to stop these people, of what you need to do to beat them. If I had that, don't you think I would have told you, or better yet used it myself so that you don't have to put your neck on the line? He pointed down the steep slope at Naruto. You walk up here right now. I don't want to see you jump, and I don't want to even sense you channel any chakra or you're going back down there. Naruto did as told and walked up the slope. He was knocked down. Climb was more of an accurate description, as by the time he reached Jiraiya at the top he had to use his hands to keep from falling back down. Jiraiya jerked Naruto by his collar and set him back on the road. This isn't supposed to be easy, Naruto. If it was, then someone else would have already solved the problem for you. If it was easy, then there would be a bigger problem out there that you would have to face. The only way to do this is to claw your way to an answer. You need to lower your head, grit your teeth, and plow right on through. You move along. Stop worrying about what will happen if such and such shows up whenever and you're doing who knows what and you aren't good enough. You get good enough, you find your own way to handle things, and I promise you, you can do this. I believe in you, kid. Jiraiya patted Naruto on the head and walked on down the road. You take it one step at a time. Just keep climbing, do not stumble, and you're going to make it. That's how you're going to win. I'll be here to help you as much as I can, but if you ever give up like you were just about to again, I'll beat you back into your old brain-dead self, because at least he was stubborn enough to never quit. He had guts. Naruto followed Jiraiya in silence like a zombie from that point forward. Kanahigaku no Sato, Hokage Tower. A knock on the office of Tsunade's door brought in Shizune with an uneasy look on her face. Tsunade-sama. Danzo is here to see you. Tsunade then understood the look that her assistant wore. Danzo was always a subject that she was sore on. She knew of his clashing of values against her sensei and predecessor Hiruzen Sarutobi, mostly over how Konoha handled its foreign affairs, but the thing with Naruto, she didn't know quite what to feel about it. Without Danzo training him and placing him en route, he would never have been as strong as he was when she first met him, but she was well aware that Danzo's detestable training methods were quite harsh. Ino Yamanaka's mental cleansing by her father after her match against Naruto years ago revealed what Naruto had to go through in training. There was also the fact that he had been very quiet, not bringing things to her or even being seen in public outside of council gatherings. It was odd, the old warhawk not stirring anything up the way Jiraiya warned her he would the entire time he briefed her when he first brought her back to Konoha. Tsunade dismissed Shizune and informed her to send Danzo in as she schooled her expression for her meeting with the bandaged man. Danzo, what can I do for you today? Danzo stood in front of her desk, steadying himself with his cane. Tsunade-heim, I've come here today to discuss one of Konoha's assets with you, one that you are very well aware of. One Naruto Uzumaki. Tsunade planned on nipping this in the bud before anything could happen. She had been planning on this for years. I will not let you take him, Danzo. He is doing just fine, he's more than powerful enough without your training. Danzo actually let out a chuckle. Would you send your Anbu out so that we can discuss this properly? Tsunade gave him a hard look before making a vague hand gesture. The atmosphere of the room changed, signifying that her guards were gone. Danzo cleared his throat and took a seat, still with his hand on his cane. You and I both know that the reason he is so powerful in the first place is my training, but that is neither here nor there. There is not much more that I can teach Uzumaki other than a few jutsu, but they don't seem to be much along his avenue of usage. Danzo tapped his cane on the ground. I do not want the boy. I simply wish to ensure his safety. With all of the business of the Akatsuki that you and I both know will do whatever it takes to obtain him, it is of the utmost importance to keep his well-being as a priority of sorts. He hadn't overstepped any boundaries, laced his words with any subtle threats, and he had been speaking the truth the entire time. Tsunade could afford to continue to hear him out. Please continue. Danzo nodded and did just that. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. Do not attempt to jerk me around, Danzo. I'm warning you, let that boy be. I don't need any treachery against him from within the village when we have more than enough against him from outside of it. Danzo kept his face steady. I agree, which is why I am putting this offer on the table. I do not want to cut back Uzumaki's growth or hold him back in any way. He is a Jinchuriki and is destined to be one of the most powerful men in existence with the Biju imprisoned inside of him. Having him be captured by a group of rogues simply because he had insufficient backup would not keep our village safe or powerful in any way, especially when that power ends up turned on us and the rest of the world. Seeing that she had her eyes firmly on him, but not saying a word, the elderly man stood up and turned to leave. Well, I will leave the final decision up to you. Until the next time, Tsunade-heim. With that, the only sound in the room was the sound of Danzo's cane thudding off of the floor as he left. 2 days later, gates of Kumagakure no Sato. After Naruto and Jiraiya were confronted at the entrance to the village by posted sentries, Jiraiya flashed a message from Konoha that he was to deliver to the Raikage, important information necessary for Kumo's consideration, he called it. With that, both Konoha ninja were watched carefully as they made their way to the main building. Naruto simply peered around their surroundings and took in the village. Nothing that he could see had changed over the course of the time he had been away from Kumo, but being here for business, he passed that thought off to the side. Jiraiya was getting sick of walking in silence. You need to stop worrying about the Akatsuki Gaki. Calm down a bit. Naruto rolled his eyes. It's going to be kind of hard to pull that off when we're about to talk about it with the Raikage, isn't it? And they really don't care whether I'm in a hidden village or not. If they want me badly enough, they'll find a way in. Jiraiya sighed. I've got your back if anything goes down, you know that. Now focus. We need to convince the Raikage what a threat the Akatsuki are and how joining forces with Konoha and compiling our collective forces alongside Suna would be the best thing to handle this. Naruto shook his head. No way. No way in hell this is going to work. We have about a snowball's chance in hell of getting one village to work with us. Iwa already basically told us to go fuck ourselves. Kiri's just getting over the civil war. No way we're getting help there. And Kumo is basically the only shot we've got, but this isn't going to work either. And why not, you skeptical brat? Jiraiya asked as they neared the tower. Naruto rolled his shoulders. The same reason that the Chichikage told us off, because as of now it isn't his problem. Kurabi and Yugi-chan haven't been targeted yet, so the Raikage won't make a move, or else it might upset the status quo. Jiraiya shook his head. There has to be a leader out there with some foresight. If they come for you, what's to stop them from going after someone else? But you're right, the problem is going to be in explaining it to him. 3 hours later, Raikage's office. Standing in the background, Naruto listened as the conversation between the two elder shinobi droned on. Sat at his desk, decked out in the traditional Raikage garb of Kumo, listening to Jiraiya intently. The Sannin in question was seated in front of the desk with a look of seriousness on his face. The organization is beginning to make emboldened moves. They have made 3 attempts on Naruto since I've uncovered their existence, and may have the Nanabi of Takigakure and the Gobi of Iwagakure as I speak. Soon enough they will come for either your Nibi or Hachibi Jinchuriki. Some of the most notorious ninja in the world gathering together to capture demon vessels. You know that this can't possibly be for a good reason. The Raikage sat in thought for a moment before sighing. Jiraiya Dano, as grateful as I am that you have brought this concern to me instead of keeping the threat to yourself, I don't think I can put my support behind an alliance just for the sake of stopping a group of less than 9 shinobi, no matter how talented they may be. Kurabi and Yujito are powerful enough to defend themselves and their comrades in case they are attacked, and clearly Uzumaki-san is too if his still being alive and in one piece right before me is any indication. Naruto frowned from his spot in the background by the door. This was going roughly the way that he expected it to, and from the look on Jiraiya's face he wasn't expecting things to go much better when they walked in himself. The 2 Konoha ninjas shared a glance before turning their attention back to the Raikage. I cannot commit Kumagakure to a coalition at this point in time for this reason. I'm afraid you have both come here for nothing. That night, Kumagakure Hotel. Jiraiya had turned in soon after they had bought a room for the night, as they had to get up early tomorrow and leave to return to Konoha to report on the results of their mission before Tsunade would decide whether or not reaching out to the remaining villages was a worthwhile endeavor. Naruto could not bring himself to sleep and rather decided to sit out on the roof until he grew tired or sunrise hit, whichever came first. Naruto simply sat against the ledge of the hotel, pulling the sword on his back out of its sheath and placing it back in just so he could hear the sound of the metal sliding. The monotonous sound and action brought Naruto into a state of lucidity, drifting between consciousness. You sure look like you're having fun. A voice broke Naruto from his trance. He turned and saw an older Yujito standing on the ledge he was sitting against, waving cheerfully. How have you been for the last few years, Naruto-kun? Yujito sat down beside Naruto against the ledge and pulled her knees to her chest as she looked him over. He didn't look that much different other than being naturally bigger that came with aging through puberty. Naruto looked over Yujito as well, coming to the same conclusion except that she was over 18 now. Busy. Very busy. We came here to talk to your Raikage about something, but since you found me before I left I might as well tell you myself. You're aware of the Akatsuki, right? Yujito nodded. Not a whole lot is known about them, but I'm aware of the name. Naruto looked at her seriously. You need to look out for them. Black cloaks with red clouds. If you see people wearing that, then you had better either prepare for a fight to the death or get in gear to hightail it. They want the Nibi from you just like they want the Kyubi from me. They'll pull it from your body and leave you a lifeless husk. Don't let them take you alive, Yugi-chan. Better yet, don't let them take you at all. Yujito frowned at the way Naruto was talking about them. Something was different about him here. He didn't seem to be as confident as he had been back when they had first met. What's wrong, Naruto? Something's changed about you. Is it Akatsuki? Naruto rubbed one of his exposed arms. These aren't normal people, Yugi-chan. You need to expect the absolute worst, most twisted things that you would never think humans could do to themselves or others. These are the boogeymen of the ninja world. Yujito turned away from Naruto and looked up. So you're scared? Naruto sat in silence for a moment. Yeah, I am. But not for myself. If they can catch me, then it isn't my problem anymore, and there's no need to be afraid of what happens from that point because I'll be dead. I'm scared for all of the people close to me. I'm scared for Konoha itself. If anyone is looking to utilize the power of the Kyubi for any reason whatsoever, it will be destructive, and it's going to kill a lot of people. I would be stupid to think that if I die and the Kyubi is extracted that things are just going to be alright for everyone in Konoha. My friends, hell everyone, they'll all be doomed. Yujito took in his words in silence and looked up at the moon with him. You know, if B were here he would call you a punk ass and then cut you down in that terrible rhyming rapping he does, and I think I would have to agree. Naruto's head snapped over to her as she kept looking up. The moon is full tonight. It's giving off a very good light here on the mountain, Naruto-kun. She turned her slightly slitted eyes to her blonde companion. The light from the moon reflects in your eyes, and I can see your fear as clear as day. Not on your face but in your eyes, the light reflects it as if you were saying it out loud to me. If one of them were to show up right now and fight us, your heart wouldn't be in it. You would be too afraid of the widespread consequences should you lose. Naruto clenched his fists. If I lose, then my village, the entire elemental nations are screwed, Yuji-chan. Even one of the Biju under their control would be catastrophic, not even mentioning that I have the most powerful one. To get all of them would mean Armageddon, pure and simple, no other way around it. So don't let them get you, she said simply. Sometimes it isn't one big maze to find the answer, Naruto-kun. Sometimes it's just as simple as saying this is what's going to happen, and this is why I'm not going to let it happen. Just don't give them the satisfaction of getting you. Fight them tooth and nail. Do everything in your power to ensure that they don't take you, and if you fail, so what? You handled the situation the only way you could, but the thing about it was that you weren't scared out of your wits to fight back. They're human too. They can be beaten just like you or I can. We have demons in us and we've been beaten, it's just a matter of going out and getting it done. Naruto laughed humorlessly. You say it like it's that easy. Because it is, she asserted firmly. When you fight, fear isn't necessary or even reasonable for us in that situation. No victory against an enemy of that magnitude can be born of fear. When you dodge, you won't let them hit you. If you protect something, you won't let it die. And if you attack, you will kill them. After all, she said, giving Naruto a faint smile, when you fight them, you'll sure be seeing their resolve to kill you and to harm everything you care about. Naruto stared at his fellow Jinchuriki as she stood up and stretched out widely before kneeling down to his level with a smirk. Think about it, Naruto-kun. Because when I fight them, I'll be thinking the same thing. Yujito leaned in and kissed him on the cheek. I won't let them harm you. With that, the Kumo Jounin left Naruto alone on the roof to his thoughts. Naruto turned his eyes back up to the moon for the longest time after being left alone. He thumped the back of his head off of the ledge and sighed to himself, what the hell is wrong with me? One little lackluster fight and I can feel my nerves slipping. What kind of shinobi am I? What kind of protector am I? Naruto growled softly to himself. The late-night streets of Kumo were traditionally empty as a village-wide curfew was in effect on most days due to Kumo's constant militarization. Shinobi would patrol the streets, keeping watch over the citizens and ensuring their safety. This was what Yujito had been conditioned to know as a fact as she strolled through the streets alone on her way back home. The feeling of being followed is common for most people, but when you are a ninja you kind of have to give that feeling a little bit more attention instead of chalking it up to simple paranoia. Because in that line of work your paranoia is based on a well-founded fact that you are never truly safe, not even surrounded by shinobi of your own home. Yujito stopped in place and bared her teeth in annoyance. Okay. I'm tired, it's been a long day, and I need to get up early tomorrow. Whoever it is that has a problem with me can come on out, and either do something about it or go away. Two men in red cloaks and straw hats revealed themselves from the shadows, one with a three-bladed scythe on his back. You're Yujito-ni, are you not? Yujito smirked as a nervous sweat worked its way to her face. Well then, it looks like I have some admirers. A friend of mine told me you would be coming, now let me show you what I do to stalkers. Chapter 32, The Undead Connection. Yujito ran through the tunnels of the sewer system of Kumagakure, breathing heavily as she shot a quick look behind her. This is such a bad idea, she said to herself, but thought otherwise. But I can't just fight in the middle of the village like that. I would destroy so much of it just trying to defend myself. She stopped in the middle of an open area where several tunnels lead to, making it something of an open-air central chamber. As she looked around her new setting, Yujito was forced to dodge a scythe attached to a cable that landed in the center of the water in the room. Are you going to stop running now, because this chasing shit is getting irksome? One of the cloaked men said as he took off his hat to reveal slicked-back silver hair. You did good to dodge that though, but I am the slowest member of Akatsuki, so that isn't saying too much. She did us a favor, Hidan. The other said as he took off his hat to reveal a mask-covered face with only his strange eyes with green irises and red scara visible. Down here there's less of a chance of the Kumo ninja interfering. Hidan let out a laugh. Yeah, too bad about that. I can't kill her, so slaughtering the droves of fools that came to stop us would have been the only thing I would have enjoyed about this whole thing. He shrugged carelessly as he picked his scythe back up. Oh well then. Shall we do this already, Kakuza? Kakuza growled at his partner. You should take her seriously, she is the Nibi Jinchuriki after all. She could kill you. Don't be stupid, Kakuzu, Hidan said. You know there's nothing that can kill me. And even if she could, good for her. He pulled a strange amulet on a necklace out. But let me start this out with a prayer to Jashin-sama. Kakuzu rolled his eyes. You really piss me off with all of that praying. Hey, you asshole! Hidan snapped at Kakuzu. It's a part of my religion. Yujito smirked nervously, still trying to show her bravado. You both walked right into this. Do you really see me as that little of a threat to you? Fine then. Yujito made a hand seal that activated an explosive note above the tunnels they had taken to get to the chamber. I brought you down here for a reason. A fight between us would destroy a lot of the village, but this sewer is far below the peaks of the village. We won't be hurting anyone by fighting down here. Kakuzu chuckled. A patriot, huh? I remember when I used to be like you. One day you'll see what that gets you, more specifically when we're pulling your biju from your body and no one comes to save you. Then you'll see how much your beloved village cherishes your life. Hey, Hidan said reasonably. I can't kill you, so there's not a whole lot of motivation for me to get into a fight. Why don't we just talk this out and you come quietly with us? You don't have a chance to win. Maybe, maybe not, Yujito said. But just talking about it isn't going to get us anywhere. I knew you were coming and I was ready for a fight. Yujito focused her power that actually blew her ponytail apart and began generating the Nibi's chakra, hunching over as it formed a spectral blue flame around her body in the form of a massive cat. Hidan simply looked at her with not much of any emotion on his face. So I guess that would be a no. Kakuzu palmed his face. For the love of... You are so stupid. Hidan licked his lips in anticipation of a fight. This is some Jinchuriki though. She's totally become the beast she holds. Yujito roared and swatted Kakuzu's body into a wall, sending rubble about from the impact of his frame. She then turned to Hidan and opened her mouth, generating a large fireball. Shit! The fireball forced Hidan to dodge as it hit the wall behind him, utterly obliterating it and causing a mini cave-in. Hidan sighed in somewhat relief as he hid behind some of the misplaced rubble. So this is the Nibi no Bakaniko, and apparently I'm trapped like a rat. He smirked as he saw her charge up another fireball. How fun! The silence of the Kumo night left Naruto alone with his thoughts, as he left the hotel to walk around the village to still his mind. Yugi-chan. How can she be unafraid to fail? She has to know what's going to happen to everyone else if they get her biju. That thing would tear just this country apart by itself. Naruto punched the side of a nearby building before pulling his fist away and watching the torn skin on his knuckles heal before his eyes. Such a shame, Kit, Kyubi said suddenly. All of this power seemingly at your disposal, and yet you find yourself locked in combat with those that do not flinch when faced down with it. I would somewhat respect them if I didn't want to crush them so much for daring to stand against me. Naruto continued to walk. 3 tails. I was using 3 tails when I fought in the desert, and they just kept coming forward. It was like the more power I was pumping out, the better acclimated to the situation they seemed to be. Naruto kept walking as the Kyubi chimed in again. Well, if power doesn't work, you're simply not using enough of it. Naruto rolled his eyes. And you did? Tell me how that worked out for you over the past 100 years, because without a Jinchuriki you were a raging monster incapable of any rational thought other than to destroy. A low chuckle sounded out in his head. You say that like it's a bad thing. It is a bad thing, you baka fox. Naruto roared inside of his mind. That's what the problem was the entire time. I'm a ninja first and a Jinchuriki second. I was trying to outmuscle them the entire time, and while it may have seemed like it was working, they had a tactic. For the love of Kami, these guys have been preparing to take down 8 others just like me. They had to have been prepared in the event of one of us going all out and releasing our demon on them. So what are you saying, boy? Kyubi questioned to him. Naruto clenched his fist. I need to fight them the way anyone else would fight them, not like a demonic juggernaut. I know I'm a good enough ninja to beat any of them that come my way. I have to believe that. I already beat one of them after all. How hard could the rest be? At that, Naruto felt the ground shake slightly. What the hell? An earthquake? Up here? Not an earthquake. That is the sign of a fight below the surface. Naruto frowned. It's 3 in the morning. Who would be fighting right now? The Kyubi would have slapped Naruto if it could. I don't know. Maybe someone that didn't want to get caught fighting? Use your head, you fucking simpleton. Now get your ass to the site of the battle and find out what that was. Naruto grit his teeth. Kiss my ass, Kyubi. Now help me remember the schematics to this place. How do I get underground from here? The chamber in the sewers that Yujito had led her enemies to was now open-aired after the battle that had taken place. Hidan lay down in a symbol of Jashin with black skin and white markings making him look like a skeleton. He lay still as if he were dead with a spike sticking out of his chest. Kakuzu sat on some nearby rubble from the fight against Yujito as he impatiently watched Hidan's unmoving form. Hidan, it's been 30 minutes. Aren't you done yet? Hidan seemingly sprang back to life as he looked over at his Nuke-Neen partner. Oh, shut the hell up, damn it! Don't mess with me while I'm doing the ritual! He reached up and pulled the spike out of his chest. Ouch! Kakuzu sighed as Hidan stood up off of the ground. You do this Jashin ritual stuff every time. Can't you just skip it every once in a while? Hidan dusted himself off and wiped some of his blood off. It might be annoying to you, but it's a part of my religion. It's necessary since we didn't kill the Jinchuriki. He pointed at Yujito, who was pinned by both of her hands to a wall with a long pike. Kakuzu snorted. We're just lucky that she led us so far away from the village in the tunnels that you could get away with this. If no one came for her during that fight, no one will be coming at all. He stood up and began making his way over to Yujito, who was unconscious from her wounds. That cat set you on fire about 3 different times. Heh, that was actually entertaining to watch. Fuck you, Kakuzu. Hidan snapped. That shit actually hurt, you know. I had to jump into the fucking sewer water to put myself out. You could have jumped in any time you wanted, you know. Kakuzu laughed. Oh, I know, and I did if you remember correctly. Hidan grumbled. Asshole. He walked up to Yujito and reached out to grab her from off of the wall when a kunai impaled itself deeply through the hand he reached out with. What the dash? Get over here! Ninja wire was tied around the ring of the kunai and stiffened out, pulling Hidan back violently up and out of the hole in the top of the open sewer. A blur jumped inside and launched at Kakuzu with a kunai drawn. However, this attack was blocked by Kakuzu's hand, which turned dark as his odd eyes turned down to his opponent. Didn't think we'd be seeing you again so soon, boy. Come to turn yourself in? Naruto grit his teeth and cocked his fist back to punch Kakuzu in the face, getting not even a movement of his head or neck for his trouble as the darkened skin carried over to his face as well. Didn't you learn what Doton Domu Earth Release, Earth Spear, could do from our last meeting? Naruto smirked. Yeah, I did. But can you take an explosion up close with your elephant skin? Let's find out. Naruto opened his shirt to reveal 3 quick burning explosive tags stuck to his torso. Kaboom! A massive explosion rocked the ruined battlefield as Kakuzu sighed from the smoke of the explosion, looking no worse for wear. That's not good enough to get through, boy, he said as he walked towards Naruto, who had taken Yujito off of the wall and was holding her unconscious form bridal style. And now it looks like we're going to get 2 Jinchuriki for the price of 1. My kind of deal. Naruto glared at him as he held Yujito protectively. You won't get either one of us. The last fight wasn't on my terms, it won't go the same this time. Kakuzu laughed loudly. The last fight wasn't on your terms? And what do you call this? Or is 110 pounds of extra deadweight going to give you an advantage here? I suppose you could use her as a battering ram or something. The last time the Ichibi had your back and we were fighting him in the desert at less than full power. What makes you think you have a chance? Who knows? Naruto said. You might walk right through me, take us both, and that would be the end of that, but you might lose something very important along the way. Then again, I might win. That seems like a good enough reason to fight, doesn't it? I might have the chance to save my own life, and even if I lose, you were going to capture me anyway, so it doesn't matter. Heh heh. Hidan landed back inside of the hole in the ground next to Kakuzu. Did you really think a few dozen of those stupid clones of yours would be able to actually stop me? Naruto shook his head. No, not really, but they weren't meant to, they were just meant to buy me some time. Naruto lowered Yujito to the ground, getting surprised looks out of Kakuzu and Hidan when she stood up, facing them with a smirk on her face before she turned into another copy of Naruto. At that moment, hundreds of Naruto clones surrounded the entrance to the hole, looking down at the 2 Akatsuki members with the swords on their backs drawn. Hidan smirked as he held the scythe in his hand. And here I thought I wasn't going to get a slaughter out of this mission. The real Naruto had Yujito over his shoulder as he escaped through an exit point under the water in the sewer room Yujito had been fighting in. Hey, the water had to go somewhere, and the grate under the surface of the water had been inconspicuous enough for him to slip away through while his Kage Bunshin had been running interference. How long they lasted would be up for debate, but the search for him after they had been taken out would take a little time even if he hadn't covered his tracks and left without a trace. Being a village situated atop a mountain, Kumo had a need to pump water from lower on the mountain and even from places on flat land, vice versa for getting waste and other things off of the mountain. The system setup was large, elaborate, and the most important part, well documented, at least by Danzo in the case of war with Kumo. Hey, ninja don't fight fair. If he needed root to poison their water supply in case of prolonged siege, then that was what was going to have to happen. However, in this case it was a swift way to exit the general area swiftly and under the nose of Hidan and Kakuzu. If he had simply attempted to run back to Kumo the way he had come, he would have been overtaken while carrying Yujito. This was taking him so far away from the village it was absurd, but right now, putting distance between them and the Akatsuki members was the most important thing. Naruto ran into another grate. He looked over his shoulder before he started kicking at it, the sound of his foot thudding off of the metal echoing throughout the tunnel. After a series of shots, Naruto finally kicked it off full force, sending it tumbling into the dark. Naruto adjusted Yujito on his shoulder and began running again. "Come on, Yugi-chan, you're alright. We're going to get you out of here!" Naruto, in the dark of the tunnel, did not see that it dropped off steeply, and he fell down the channel with Yujito in his grasp. A series of threads simultaneously impaled the bodies of several of Naruto's clones, dispelling them immediately. "What an annoying diversion. You have to finish them all off, or they might get a lucky shot on you. I'm not losing one of my hearts to a damned bunshin." Hidan scoffed as he placed his scythe on his back after exterminating the last of Naruto's Kage bunshin. "That was a complete waste of my time. There wasn't any blood or anything. I'm going to cut that brat's legs off when we catch him." "Calm down, Hidan. Once we have him cornered, we'll have him right where we want him," Kakuzu assured him. "He won't be able to get very far with the Nibi Jinchuriki as injured as she is. He's going to need to find somewhere to treat her wounds to keep her alive very soon." Hidan growled. "He's probably halfway to Kumo by now. We'll never catch him before sunrise." Kakuzu shook his head. "If he took the direct path, I would be able to catch him, but he's not that stupid. Any other way he could possibly take would lead him far away from Kumo once he escaped here." Hidan let a smile slowly spread across his face. "So you're saying that for all we know the little bastard could be miles away from Kumo instead of a hair's breadth away? Well, what are we waiting for? Let's hunt down our Jinchuriki." Naruto was on his hands and knees panting as he had just pulled himself and Yujito from a water source halfway down the mountain range and was now getting his breath back. Naruto reached over and felt for Yujito's pulse, sighing in relief as he felt a steady one. It was slower than expected, but it was steady. He also felt to make sure she was breathing. Luckily, he didn't have her underwater for long enough to have it affect her. Naruto ran a hand through his soaked hair. "God damn it, Yugi-chan, wake up! I need you awake!" What to do? He could begin the long trek back to Kumo, but any idiot would be able to ambush him on the way, and he knew that his enemies were far from stupid. At least Kakuzu was. No one survived to be 91 and a still active ninja by being a damned fool. If he went back to Kumo by himself, he was as good as handing Yujito over to them on a silver platter, himself as well. He could try and make it to Unreikyo, the Valley of Clouds and Lightning, but Tarabi obviously wasn't anywhere near Kumo, or else he would have seen/heard him by then. And besides that, it was on the other side of the mountain range. He would have to go around the mountain to circumvent a direct path to Kumo, which would have left him as much of a sitting duck as heading straight there would have. Naruto frowned as he looked over Yujito's wounded frame. Her hands had been impaled when she had been pinned to the wall. Her top had multiple slashes all over it, revealing wounds all about her body from Hidan's side, he presumed, a few stab wounds as well. She had lost a lot of blood. He could feel torn muscles in her calves and biceps and could even feel a floating rib. They had worked her over to put her down. "What a mess. What the hell am I going to do?" he said as he moved the hair from Yujito's face. Naruto stood up and carefully picked Yujito up before setting out again. Where was there to take her? He needed to get her somewhere to help her. If he just kept going like this without stopping to treat her, she might take a turn for the worse. QB, any ideas? I'm drawing a complete blank here. I'm not used to running away. You need a hiding place and a way to contact someone. You have the means for one of those things, but if you do that here, you'll be a beacon for the masked one. He'll feel you generate the chakra from wherever he is, QB said. As loath as I am to watch you flee like a coward, it is the only option open to you at the moment. It would be 2-on-1 and you have the girl to protect. A fight while Yujito was unconscious and unable to even defend herself would be the worst-case scenario. If she would wake up, he could have a better chance if a fight were to break out. Hell, he could pick her brain for somewhere to go that was safe right now if she were awake. You have a base, you know, QB said suddenly, surprising Naruto. What are you talking about? What base, and how is it my base? Naruto thought to his inner demon. The QB huffed audibly before responding. What I mean is that there is a root safe house not far from here. I would say 2 hours out. The same one you used years back as a child on your mission in this country. Go there. Naruto's eyes lit up and he looked at Yujito hopefully. Hold on, Yugi-chan. We'll get you some rest and help in just a moment. We just need to find it first. Time passed and the luck that QB's memory was able to guide Naruto across the mountainside to a safe area held out as Naruto ran in the midst of the fading night with his fellow blonde demon container being carried in his arms. Why isn't she healing? If she were me, at least the wounds on her hands or some of those on her body would have come close to healing up by now, if nothing else. Kyubi chuckled in Naruto's mind. All Jinchuriki do not share the same traits. Your rapid healing, massive chakra reserves, and immense natural strength and stamina are all results of your bond with me. The female has skills of her own from the Nibi, but you do not share the same attributes attributed to the demons you contain. Damn, Naruto said. I was banking on her being able to heal up without much treatment. I'm no medic, at best all I've got is battlefield medicine skill, and all that will do is keep her alive. She won't be in any condition to fight in case we get attacked again. Naruto kicked a risen rock column, sliding it slightly and revealing a trapdoor hole in the ground that he dropped down in with Yujito before the hole shut, leaving them in the dark area that Naruto navigated by keeping his back against the wall and walking along, keeping his senses aware. As he came through an entryway, a small whooshing noise came before the room was illuminated by numerous candelabra along the rock walls of the room. Naruto laid Yujito down on the ground and slumped against a wall, sinking to the floor next to her. He pulled a scroll from his pocket and unsealed a bedroll as well as a series of prepared packs, reaching for the one with the medical symbol on it. Kit! Kyubi's voice cut through the silence. Fix the female in a moment. Inform someone of the situation for the time being. I will not be captured due to your negligence. Naruto frowned but nodded as he bit his thumb and made the necessary hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu, Summoning Jutsu. Kumagakure no Sato, Sunrise. Daybreak was beginning to show itself in the mountaintop village of Kumagakure no Sato, and one could find one of the most legendary ninja of his time, Jiraiya of the Sannin, the fierce Toad Sannin, asleep with his entire body laying askew on his futon. As he slumbered through the sunrise, a faint pull in the back of his mind stirred him from his 40 winks. He sat up out of instinct and bit his thumb before making a small set of hand seals before mumbling out his technique. Kuchios no Jutsu, Summoning Jutsu, and falling backwards onto his futon once more to remain in the land of the quiescent. A human-sized orange toad with a blue vest appeared in the room, looking around only to see the source of his summoning out cold. Jiraiya, wake up! He shouted, not even getting a twitch of a toe from the man. Seriously, get up already! Naruto's in it deep right now, and he needs some help. Jiraiya heard Naruto's name and sat up, still dazed and confused. Wadash? Naruto, huh? What about the Gaki? What's the matter? He rubbed his eyes and noticed the huge toad in his room. Gamakichi, what's going on? Did I summon you? His response was a stream of water from Gamakichi's mouth to his face. What the hell? Are you awake? The young toad asked impatiently. Good. Now listen up, Naruto and I is trapped outside of Kumo with the Nibi Jinchuriki who is injured. 2 Akatsuki guys were here to take her and Nai-chan got her out of there before they could take her. Get up and I'll be able to lead you back to where he summoned me. Jiraiya's face turned serious throughout his explanation of the situation and at the mention of Akatsuki. Let me get dressed and we'll get out of here. With Naruto and Yujito. Naruto had done all that he was able to for Yujito. He had bandaged as much of her body as he could while allowing her to maintain her modesty, as well as her hands. She still needed a medic name for those because from the damage she had taken he could swear that her hands would have had nerve damage. For the past hour after fixing Yujito up he had been going through his weapons and ninja tools for when Hidan and Kakuzu found them again. When they attacked he would be ready and he had a plan to even the playing field, but he would have to be fast and accurate for it to work. He would only have one shot to make his move and once they knew what he was going for they would never let him pull it off. A change in Yujito's breathing pattern alerted him to her regaining consciousness. Welcome back, Yugi-chan, Naruto said with a smile. We almost lost you there for a moment. Yujito's eyes opened and slowly widened once she heard Naruto's voice. Naruto-kun? What about the 2 Akatsuki guys, did you beat them? Naruto laughed humorlessly. I wish it was going to be that easy. All I could do was get you out of there and run away. They messed you up, it looked bad, there was blood everywhere. Yujito smirked. Would you believe me if I said that most of it wasn't mine? She painfully tried to sit up only for Naruto to gently push her back down. Naruto-kun! Naruto gave her a stern look as he took his hand off of her. You're staying down. You're not me, you don't get over injuries in a flash. You still need actual medical treatment, all I did was patch you together enough to keep you in one piece. Yujito pulled herself up and sat next to him against the wall. I'm a jounin and I'm older than you. You're not in any position to tell me to do anything. Naruto simply stared at her dryly before poking her in the side, smirking when he got a yelp of pain out of her. What were you saying? I could hold you down with a Kage bunched in the way you are. You'd be next to useless in a battle. Yujito glared at him, getting him to roll his eyes. The entire point of me showing up in the first place was to keep you from being caught. If you get right back up and fight them again, then this was for nothing. Yujito's eyes softened. One of them can't die. All of the blood that you said you saw, most of it was his. You were right, they are monsters. The one guy couldn't die and the other. She rubbed her bruised cheek. I've never been hit so hard in my entire life. They took me on when I was using the Nibi's full power. And that was your mistake, Naruto said to her. I went 3 tails when I fought Hidan and Kakuzu the first time because it worked on somebody else I had fought. But you aren't going to brute force these guys, you have to stop fighting like the demon that you carry and start fighting like the ninja that you're supposed to be. When a group of people dedicate themselves to capturing demons, you have to believe that they're prepared to handle way more demonic power than you can pump through your body. Yujito raised an eyebrow at her blonde comrade in arms. So your plan is to? She questioned. Naruto grinned at her. Fight like an elite shinobi, with control, skill, and finesse. I'm not going to bully these guys, and I'm going to get hurt to win. A chuckle came from him. That's if I win at all. But who cares? You fought, you lost. If I lose, then it won't really matter because we'll both be dead, right? Yujito's sweat dropped. That's really dark, Naruto-kun. Naruto shrugged. Battlefield humor, Yugi-chan. All battlefield humor is dark by nature. She pouted and leaned against Naruto's shoulder. I'm still fighting, though. You won't beat them alone. 2 Jinchuriki are better than 1, and I said I was going to protect you, didn't I? Naruto shook his head amusedly. And where's the chivalry there? Well, if you're dead set on fighting, get as much rest as you can, because they'll find us sooner rather than later, and I want you able to at least throw a kunai straight. Yujito shut her eyes and wrapped her arms around herself. Just don't hold me back, Naruto-kun. I don't want to have to save your ass during the fight. Like I saved yours? He quipped as he found his own eyes slowly closing. Kiss my ass? Yujito mumbled. Naruto smirked with his eyes closed. Maybe after we get out of this, Yugi-chan. Naruto never saw the blush fill Yujito's face from his comment. With Hidan and Kakuzu. Where is that fucking brat? Hidan yelled as he and Kakuzu made their way across the mountainous wilderness of the area around Kumo. We're in the middle of nowhere. One other guy and a billy goat have passed anywhere near us, and that's it. Kakuzu thought to himself while his partner continued to gripe. He isn't running towards or away from Kumo. He's hiding now. Instead of running and eventually getting caught like he knew he was going to, he found somewhere to hide to wait us out. Kakuzu chuckled. Desperate, isn't he? Hidan looked at him strangely. Hiding? Where could he possibly be hiding? I'm certain that Kumo wouldn't allow places like that so close to their village. We're not even 40 miles away. Are you sure the kid isn't just on the run? Kakuzu nodded. I'm absolutely positive because it's the better option to hide right now. And every village has a few cracks in its security system. We got in after all, didn't we? Hidan laughed. Yeah, but all we did was just kill all of the guards. We basically walked right through the front gate. He continued to laugh even harder. And now there aren't even any pitiful guards to try and stop us. The 2 men continued their search across the mountain for Naruto and Yujito. Kakuzu grunted. We have to find and capture them soon. It won't take long until Kumo finds out that something is amiss and they find the ruins from our fight with their Jinchuriki. Then it would be too risky to stay any longer. Kumagakure no Sato, Raikage's office. What do you mean Yujito is gone? A roared, slamming his fist into his desk and pulverizing it. How could someone just get away with Yujito right under our noses and no one was the wiser about the whole situation? The Raikage's assistant didn't flinch in the face of her enraged commander. Darui and C found the signs of a major battle just outside of Kumo. However, there was no indication of exactly where she or her attacker had gone after the struggle ended. The Yondaime Raikage felt like punching a few new holes in his office. Who the hell could do something like this to Yujito? And this is terrible timing. Karabi isn't in the village right now either. We need to scatter our forces and search for her immediately. How can she just vanish? Because my apprentice is with her, Jiraiya said as he cracked the door to the office. Naruto is with her. A turned a glare to Jiraiya, barely holding back his killing intent. And you would know this how? It's too much of a coincidence that the day after you send me a warning about a group that kidnaps Jinchuriki, our own gets taken. Jiraiya's eyes took on a hardened glance at the towering Kage. Don't begin to insinuate what you're thinking. Naruto is keeping her away from the people that attempted to take her. He's stuck somewhere outside of Kumo by himself, keeping her hidden until someone can find him. However, if he finds himself in a fight, he will be at a decided disadvantage. There are 2 of them, and he's alone with your wounded Jounin. Then what are we waiting for? A said. Lead my forces to your student and Yujito so that we can keep them safe. Jiraiya sighed and leaned against the doorway. I wish it were that simple, but my toads aren't much for tracking. And if you couldn't find any trail of them either, then that means Naruto did too good of a job of covering his tracks when he escaped. I can't really blame him given the circumstances, though. I looked over at his assistant. Send out the order to scatter our forces out along the countryside to look for Yujito Ni and Naruto Uzumaki. Stop and question anyone in sight that is traveling in that area. His assistant nodded and exited the office in a hurry to relay his orders to Kumo's shinobi force. I turned his attention to Jiraiya, who still stood in the doorway, utterly serious. How legitimate a chance do you think the two of them have by themselves out there? It depends, Jiraiya simply stated. It depends on whether or not the Gaki is sick of playing the victim and switches over to playing executioner. A groan came from Jiraiya's mouth at that moment. And for my sake he'd better turn into the executioner quick, or else Tsunade's going to castrate me barehanded if he gets himself caught. With Naruto and Yujito, 2 hours later. Yujito was seated with a heated face as she had her shirt off and her back turned to Naruto. Are you done yet, Naruto-kun? This is embarrassing and the ink is cold. Naruto was drawing a major array on Yujito's back, one that matched the one that was currently drawn on his bare chest. A circular formation around his heart, a trail of kanji leading from his heart to the other side of his chest, and an overlapping straight trail resembling a DNA helix ending in a significantly larger kanji surrounded by another circular array. Just keep holding still. You're lucky I can do this on your back too, or else I'd be getting a primo view right now. Be lucky that I'm not Ero Sennin, or I wouldn't have even given you the option. Naruto-kun! And I don't even know who that is, Yujito said indignantly. Besides, we're in the middle of something serious here. Naruto grinned as he continued to make his seal on Yujito's back. Oh come on, Yugi-chan. It's just you and me, we're all alone in this dark, hidden cavern, you're shirtless, I'm shirtless, we're about to die more or less. If there's anything you want from me, then now's the time to ask, he hinted, wagging his eyebrows. Fine, Yujito said, seething and blushing hard. What I want is for you shut the hell up and finish this seal so I'm not worthless when the fight starts. Now hurry up and stop flirting with me. Naruto held back his laughter so that he could focus on the task at hand. Sorry. But if you knew who my sensei was, and you knew what he was really like firsthand, you would know why I'm hitting on you. Naruto placed his brush next to his ink and looked over his handiwork, nodding as he cut his palm and placed a pre-made seal tag on her back. Alright, this was done with my ink, so it should be super effective. More so than usual. Why? Yujito questioned as she looked over her shoulder to see Naruto slowly making hand seals. Naruto continued to slowly work his way through his memorized hand seals. Because my blood is a very potent medium for sealing ink, and that's what I put in all of my ink. Now then, Fuinjutsu, Chakura Takawara Kuriru, sealing technique, stored chakra transfer. Naruto finished his seals and clapped his hands together before placing them on the seal he had placed on Yujito's back. The array faded from Naruto's heart to the circle array he had drawn on the other side as the seal on the tag started glowing. From that point the small circular array on Yujito's back glowed and faded all the way down to the point on her heart where that array began to glow. The light lasted for a few moments before dying out and allowing the seal to fade. Naruto pulled the blank seal tag from Yujito's back and moved away from her. And that should be that. You can go ahead and put your shirt back on, Yugi-chan, or feel free not to. Either way is good with me. Yujito growled at him and put her shirt back on before whipping her still loose hair out of her face. Pervert. But thanks. I feel like I have all of my chakra back. Naruto chuckled. You'd better have all of your chakra back, as much as I used to pump into those things for storage. I only brought one though, so try not to run out of chakra again. Will do, Yujito said. I'm as ready as I'm going to be for them the next time, Yujito said, gingerly feeling at her ribs with her wounded hands. She made hand seals and frowned at the speed her fingers were moving at. Fuck. I've got stupid hands. Naruto shook his head. It's probably nerve damage. We really need to get you to a medic. His face switched moods as he looked up. Never mind. I guess banking on someone to come and get us before they did was asking too much. Naruto resealed his supplies and placed the scrolls in his pockets before slinging his sword over his back as he started making his way to the exit. Yujito grabbed his arm and turned him around abruptly, pulling him towards her. Before he could even respond, Yujito's lips covered his for what seemed like an eternity but was in reality 30 seconds. Yujito released the kiss and grabbed Naruto by his collar. That was just because I wanted to, not a last act to release regret, understood? We're not going to lose this time. Naruto nodded and pulled her hands away from his collar, holding them in his and rubbing the backs of them softly with his thumbs. If it starts looking bad, you cut out and run towards Kumo as fast as you can, got it? If I go down, you leave immediately. You don't try to get me away from them, you don't even try to fight them. You run. Yujito opened her mouth to dispute when he cut her off. You run. Yujito's response died in her mouth, and she simply sighed. Okay, Naruto-kun. I'll run. Naruto nodded once more. Good, now let's get this over with. He then kicked aside some loose rock while Kakuzu simply looked around calmly. Are you sure this is where they are? Kakuzu glared at his partner. I wouldn't have dragged us over here if I wasn't. He thinks his Kage Bunshin were so well hidden, the little bastards never saw it coming. They were his lookouts, his security measures, and that means he's around here somewhere. The area was a relatively flat rock field, lots of uprisen formations and no flora about, nothing but hard earth. Taking Kakuzu's word for it at face value, he then pulled his amulet from around his neck and closed his eyes as he began to pray for forgiveness, as he was not allowed to kill Naruto or Yujito in the forthcoming battle. Doton, Shinjuzanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Inner Decapitation Skill! A pair of hands locked themselves around Hidan's ankles and pulled him under the solid rock, leaving him stuck up to his neck. Naruto came out of the ground directly in front of him. What the fuck is the big idea, you lowlife heathen? I was praying to Jashin-sama. Naruto drew his sword from his back. Sorry, I don't really fight fair. Before he could attempt anything on Hidan, a series of black threads tried to impale him where he stood, forcing him to begin dodging as he saw the threads drive through rock, and knew from his clone's experiences that they were very dangerous. Kakuzu's threads were chasing after Naruto from under the sleeves of his coat as he tried steering the young Chunin away from his partner. Even though there wasn't anything he could do to actually kill Hidan, putting him back together after Naruto did whatever he was going to try and do was still going to be a pain in the ass. As he attacked Naruto, a hole opened up in the ground behind him, revealing Yujito, who jumped out and threw a kick at his head that he dodged. Yujito followed up upon landing back on the ground and threw a set of shuriken at him that made him jump into the air in order to dodge. Futon, Ripushu, Wind Release, Violent Wind Palm. A wind from Naruto changed the trajectory of the shuriken that Yujito threw to rising above Kakuzu. Kakuzu saw this and sighed. Not again. Yujito made a few hand seals before calling out her jutsu. Right-on, Kaminari Shuriken, Lightning Release, Lightning Shuriken. From the shuriken flying overhead, bursts of electricity snapped down at Kakuzu, who was able to avoid every attack. He had already seen this jutsu in the desert against Naruto, and his was far deadlier in its usage. He then wriggled and squirmed as hard as he could to free himself, but the ground wasn't loosening up. It wasn't soil, it was solid rock, and he cursed Naruto for taking advantage of his rituals to get such a cheap shot on him. Kakuzu outlasted the lightning jutsu from Yujito and dashed towards her, who in her injured state was unable to stay out of Kakuzu's speedy clutches and wound up grasped by the throat by the tall missing nin. Yujito clutched at his outstretched arm as she felt him rob her of her oxygen. You were very aggravating to run down. Do you know that? His monologue was cut off from going any further by Naruto attempting to run him through with his sword. Kakuzu shifted out of the way and threw a kick at Naruto, who moved his sword to take the kick that still managed to push him back roughly 15 feet before he was able to ground his feet to a stop. Just how strong is this son of a bitch? He's just as strong as me, and he's got the size to bully me around if it comes to that. Yujito was still in Kakuzu's chokehold and tried fighting him off by trying to dislocate his outstretched elbow with punches, but he used his free hand to hit her in the body, robbing her of even more air and forcing her to cough up blood. After delivering the hit to her, she burst into smoke, and Kakuzu found himself holding Naruto around the neck instead, and he was none too pleased. Naruto brought his blade down and cleaved the arm of Kakuzu off, freeing himself, only to find that Kakuzu's arm quickly reattached itself due to a thick bulk of black threads that reconnected the two segments of his arm. Yujito was gasping for breath over by herself behind the cover of rock, with protection from two of Naruto's Kage Bunshin. Asterisk cough cough asterisk, I think he was right about the whole boogeyman of the ninja world thing. Kami, what a monster. She held her neck gingerly, feeling the bruise that simply being in Kakuzu's grip left. So that's the Jiangyu, Earth Grudge Fear, Naruto said as he set himself back in a ready stance to face off with Kakuzu. At least now I know what to call those thread things of yours after our first encounter. Kakuzu shook his head. Listen, kid. We've wasted enough time getting the Nibi. We're already late, so how about this? You simply let us take her and we'll let you go for now. We can't seal your Biju until last anyway, so we can just pretend we never encountered you. You don't even need to fight. Naruto kept his eyes locked on Kakuzu. I could do that, some would say that I should do that, but I'm not going to. You either take me and Yugi-chan, or you don't get either one of us. And either way you're in for one hell of a fight. I won't just let you have her. Fair enough, Kakuzu said before his skin turned dark and he launched a punch at Naruto extended with his threads. Naruto dodged the punch and ran in at Kakuzu, who blocked his follow-up slash with his bare hands. Naruto growled as his sword was caught in Kakuzu's grasp. That same damn move again. Why mess with what works, brat? Kakuzu said, obviously amused. That's lesson number 1 for punks like you that want to survive to be older than 30. Naruto tugged in vain to free his sword from Kakuzu's grip. Surviving older than 30? That doesn't sound very fun. Naruto channeled lightning chakra to his hand and attempted to place it on Kakuzu's arm to help him free the Senenki no Ken. However, when Kakuzu heard the crackling of electricity, he let go of Naruto and got away from him, landing next to Hidan, who was still trapped. Naruto moved over towards the rock formation where Yujito was with his clones, still recovering. Surviving until I'm as old as you without anyone knowing who I am with mere name association defeats the purpose of my goal, and as long as I achieve it I could care less how old I am when I die. Besides, it's better to burn out than to fade away like you, Kakuzu. When I kill you, only a handful of people will even get the reference. Kakuzu narrowed his eyes at Naruto and sent his black thread into the ground around Hidan's head, loosening the rock around him. Oh! You stabbed me, damn it! That fucking hurt, you bastard! I don't stab you to free you, do I? Hidan bellowed. Kakuzu pulled him out abruptly. Shut up, Hidan. First of all, I never get captured in the first place. Second of all, if you stabbed me I would tear you apart, and sew you back together backwards. And lastly of all, I'm sick of playing around with these brats. We take them down, now. Hidan licked his lips anxiously. Now you're talking my language, ragdoll. Get over here, brat. The silver-haired Nukenin rushed at Naruto, drawing his three-bladed scythe from his back and swinging it once he found Naruto within the long weapon's range. Naruto started parrying the strokes of the scythe with his sword only to realize that the scythe was obscenely dangerous. It didn't take much for that thing to cut him, but it wasn't as deadly as it could be. Like killing him wasn't really the point of using the weapon. After a duck swing of his weapon, Hidan lifted it to block an incoming set of shuriken from Yujito, who threw from behind cover. Naruto took advantage of this and stabbed his sword into Hidan's foot, pinning him in place before pulling out a kunai and driving it down into his other foot to immobilize him. Hidan swatted Naruto back with the pole end of his scythe but was unable to do anything else to follow up, as simply that movement caused him to lose his balance. Naruto growled and grabbed onto the arm holding Hidan's scythe, keeping his other hand free to pound the daylights out of the Akatsuki member. Naruto was stopped from pulverizing Hidan when Kakuzu kicked him in the side, sending him flying off of his partner. Kakuzu pulled both weapons from Hidan's feet and tossed them aside. And once again I step in to save you from certain doom. Start thinking before you put your attacks together. Hidan spit blood from his mouth and worked his jaw with his hand. Shut the hell up, Kakuzu. All that did was piss me off. That punk can't kill me and you know it, he's just wasting his own time. Naruto bounced off of the side of a rock and landed next to Yujito and his clones. He groaned and shook off the cobwebs as he looked over at Yujito. Do you feel any better, Yugi-chan? Yujito pulled him up into a seated position. My ribs are sore, but I'm okay. What about you? Naruto rubbed his side. Why the fuck does Kakuzu hit so hard? It's like getting nailed by a hammer. One of Naruto's clones peered over the rock and paled. Boss? You might want to move right now. It then dispelled so that he could relay what he saw without saying anything, and Naruto got the message instantly. The blonde male Jinchuriki picked up his older female counterpart and beat a hasty retreat from the formation just in time to see it pulverized by a small fireball that erupted into a torrent right where they were just sitting. Naruto cringed at the feeling of getting burned alive by the ninjutsu that had engulfed his clones. Naruto set Yujito down and looked over at Kakuzu, who had called out one of his thread creatures with the mask on its face. However, it looked very different from the one he had fought in the desert. But that was not the point. The point was that it was now effectively 3-on-2 and one of the two was hurt. Can you generate any of the Nibi's chakra safely? We need some more kick to our attacks, Naruto asked. Yujito nodded. Yeah, but when using all of the Nibi's chakra I can't use any jutsu. Naruto rolled his eyes. Then don't use all of the Nibi's chakra. Just pull out enough to make these guys sweat at your speed and power. You do get faster when you use the Nibi's chakra, don't you? Yujito hit him on the arm. Duh, Naruto-kun. Well then turn up the heat already. We need an edge here, Naruto yelled as he dug deep and pulled out a tail of Kyuubi's chakra. I start overloading stuff at 2 tails, and at 3 tails there's only one normal jutsu I can really use. A blue aura wrapped around Yujito's body. However, instead of looking like a tail the way Naruto's did, it took the appearance of a still burning flame. I only have 2 tails to work with in the first place. She looked over at Naruto. So do you have anything in your repertoire to let them know this is serious? Naruto grinned at her. Do you? Both Jinchuriki grinned evilly and began generating massive amounts of their respective chakra while making hand seals. Katon, Karyudan, Fire Release, Fire Dragon Missile. Futon, Kamikaze Hashira, Wind Release, God Wine Pillars. Chapter 33, Who's the Real Monster? The call for Kumo's shinobi to fan out and search the countryside for Yujito had gone out, and a three-man team had come to a stop to get their bearings of their surroundings as they sat on a boulder to take a rest. Man! A dark-skinned man with shaggy white hair and a white one-shoulder Kumo flak jacket over his high-collared, sleeveless Kumo uniform said. On his left and right arms he had the kanji for lightning and water tattooed, and on his back he had a large cleaver blade. These guys were able to get Yujito. How is Raikage-sama sure she's still around here? We don't have a trace of her presence at all. Calm down, Darui. A young blonde man with a sleeveless black shirt, black pants, his white one-shoulder Kumo flak jacket, elbow-length arm guards, and red and white shin guards replied. If she's anywhere around Kumo, I'll be able to find her. No problem. Darui sighed. I know, sure, but what if she isn't dash dot? He was cut off when a series of large rising pillars of flame shot into the sky before merging into one massive torrent of fire. What the hell was that? The blonde man, sure, stood up abruptly with a serious look on his face. I don't know, but the chakra that thing is pumping out is one hell of a beacon for me to follow. Darui rose to his feet watching the unnatural flaming structure. You think it's Yujito? Sure snickered. Do you know anyone else that pumps that much chakra into their jutsu? He stopped laughing and motioned for them to move. Jei, get one of your messenger lizards to Raikage-sama fast. We've got to get moving. The man named Jei, a bald, dark-skinned man with sunglasses and his Kumo hideate on his head, and apparel similar to the rest of his teammates, finished writing a small message on a scroll that he gave to a small lizard. Get this to Raikage-sama, coordinates on Yujito's possible position. What if Yujito got taken by a cultist group that worships the Nibi and want to free its spirit to get its revenge on Kumo for imprisoning it for so many years? A white-haired, dark-skinned boy with a sucker in his mouth pondered. Omoy, shut up with your overthinking crap, his dark-skinned, red-haired teammate replied. Me and Samui are getting sick of hearing your bullshit theories on what happened to Yujito. All we have to do is find her now. Mind on the mission. Omoy visibly deflated. You don't have to be so angry about it, Karui. Karui glared at him. I'm running out of patience with you. Now focus or I'll break your jaw and shut you up for good. Samui looked back at her teammates that she was leading. Both of you focus. No one has been able to find a sliver of a clue about her whereabouts or even who took her. We're operating blind here. A faint sound of explosion rang out before a series of rising pillar of flames came into view in the distance. Omoy pointed lamely in that direction. Not anymore. Karui stared at the ever-growing infernos as they seemed to merge together and grow larger. Kami, what on earth did that? I'll give you one guess. Samui was already on the move towards that area with Karui and Omoy right with her. With Naruto and Yujito. Yujito and Naruto's fire and wind ninjutsu had combined and caused a major upswell of fire in the form of a towering tornado that burned the entire environment, leaving the already barren landscape utterly lifeless and scarred with cinder. Asterisk cough 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 asterisk futon, Daitapa, wind release, great breakthrough. Naruto rid the general area around him and Yujito of all of the smoke and charred debris scattered about from their combination attack. I think we were standing way too close to that, he said as he wiped the blackness from the heat off of his face. Yujito, covered in soot, cleared out her lungs with a few coughs as well. You think? Cough cough, did we get them? Naruto shook his head. Not a chance in hell. He tried peering through the leftover smoke but kept on his toes as he knew their respective chakra cloaks made them beacons to Hidan and Kakuzu. I cut one of their heads off last time we fought, and he still kept coming. If it was going to be as easy as spamming a big-ass fireball, then wouldn't you have been able to beat them alone? Yujito bristled at the remark. But look at this, she said as the land around them was colored black due to the intensity of the flames they generated. That had to do something. That would have put one of us down for the count for sure. Naruto remained silent as they walked along the smoldering battlefield, and reached to his back only to gasp in surprise before realization set in. Fuck. They disarmed me before we did that combination. As a substitute, he pulled out a kunai and held it in a reverse grip for defensive purposes as they continued along the area. There should be bodies, a charm mark, something to let us know we got them. There was no way they got out of that one, Yujito said as her chakra cloak billowed around her. Yujito channeled the Nibi's chakra to her eyes to assist her seeing through the smoke. She wordlessly pointed off in a direction that she and Naruto then followed to find Hidan leaning against the wall breathing heavily. The top of his Akatsuki cloak had burned and stuck to his skin in certain places, and from the view of many other part of his skin it was clear that much of his front took intense third-degree burns from Naruto and Yujito's combined ninjutsu. From the way he was shaking, Yujito figured that he was in shock from his injuries. "You're still alive? I'm surprised." Naruto held his kunai up high. "I'm not. Where's your partner?" Yujito looked at Naruto. "Look at this guy, Naruto. Just because he survived doesn't mean the other one did. This guy is on his last legs himself, so why would you dash? You fucking bastards!" Hidan roared as he threw his scythe at Yujito. Naruto grabbed her arm and pulled her out of the way of the incoming blade. "You're both really pissing me off. It's getting really hard for me to not flat out want to kill you too. Especially you, girly, we already beat you once." Yujito glared at him harshly. "How are you still alive and able to move? That should be agonizing." "Oh, it is," Hidan assured her. "But you've got to hit harder than that to stop me. I'm immortal, bitch. You know I can't die. The punk-ass brat next to you should know better than you." Naruto sighed. "Yugi-chan, I told you that I cut his head off and he still cursed me out and kept coming." Naruto let go of her. "Now where the hell is your partner?" Hidan smirked. "Would you believe me if I said that you killed him?" He chuckled as Naruto gave him a dry look. "I didn't think you would, either did he?" "Right on, John, lightning release, false darkness." Naruto and Yujito moved aside as a spear of lightning cut into the ground where they were standing. Both Jinchuriki split apart to avoid the jutsu but found a flaw with their plan of evasion when the bolt of lightning branched out and followed them both. The solid rock of Kumo's mountain range was effortlessly carved into by the force of the arcing lightning. "One chance to get this thing off of me," Naruto said as he formed hand seals on the move and crossed his arms in an X to finish. "Futon, Senpu Kakusui, wind release, whirlwind pyramid." A sudden wind kicked up around Naruto's body, strong enough to deflect the quick and forceful lightning attack off to the side, effectively ending the threat it posed him and allowing him to move back in to continue fighting. He was cut off from rejoining and assisting Yujito by Hidan appearing in front of him with his scythe drawn for attack. Naruto grit his teeth in anger at being diverted by the immortal berserker. "Do you even know any ninjutsu or genjutsu at all?" Hidan smirked. "Nope, just one really. I'm pretty straightforward, you know what you're going to get with me, but does that mean you can stop it?" Hidan started swinging at Naruto, who found it difficult to dodge due to the angles of Hidan's strikes. It was clear he was used to fighting people with extreme dexterity, as his attacks were tailor-made for opponents that were far more mobile than he was. Naruto barely diverted a slash from Hidan's scythe with the kunai in his hand, but seeing how close he came to actually taking a cut from the wicked weapon, he needed to get that damn thing away from him. Hidan attempted a cross slash that Naruto stopped by grabbing onto the pole of the weapon with both hands before it could impale him. Hidan kicked low at Naruto's shin, disrupting his balance and his grip. Hidan butted the pole into Naruto's face and knocked him back before swinging at him again. Naruto ducked, losing a few stray hairs in the process and pissing off Hidan further. "Just bleed already, damn it! What do I have to do to draw blood on you? Aim better for one," Naruto said as his fist collided with Hidan's scythe pole in an attempt to hit the man in the face. He dropped low for a kick, but Hidan shifted the scythe to block him again and kicked him backwards across the ground, a kick that Naruto easily recovered from. "For a second you need to be faster." Meanwhile Yujito was still dodging Kakuzu's right on. "John, how long can he hold this jutsu for? He must have the reserves of 6 shinobi to keep this up for so long." Using the Nibi's chakra kept her a step ahead of the lightning due to her not having a defensive jutsu the likes of Naruto that was strong against lightning ninjutsu. "Where is it even coming from? I can't even see the guy firing it." Yujito sharply abstracted her forward motion with a back handspring and started moving closer to the source of the lightning through the smoke that was still hanging around the battlefield. She played a dangerous game by twisting around the dangerous attack and dodging its branching stems of electricity that tried hitting her as she ran. She eventually found the source of the lightning in another one of Kakuzu's black thread creatures with a mask. As she caught sight of the creature, it broke off its attack and sent out some of the threads that composed its body to ensnare her. Yujito turned up the heat of her blue, protective, flaming chakra cloak to keep them from touching her. "I'm so tired of you Akatsuki assholes!" She got back out of range of Kakuzu's mask and opened her mouth, channeling chakra all the while. "Katan, Rise Ahari, fire release, laser beam!" Yujito fired a thin, straight, narrow red laser from her mouth that instantly impacted off of the mask of the creature and burned a hole right through, coming out the back of it, and continuing on to burn a deep hole into the side of the mountain. Kakuzu's masked creature immediately collapsed in a quivering mass of black thread as the mask that signified its face cracked. You troublesome upstarts! Yujito turned her head at the sound of Kakuzu's voice. You brats destroyed 2 of my hearts with your last 2 attacks! Kakuzu no longer had his Akatsuki cloak on, instead he had on a black sleeveless shirt revealing muscle tone and visible stitches that carried all across his body. The mask was now vacant from his face, and showed that he had shoulder-length brown hair and stitches around the edges of his mouth. Yujito narrowed her eyes at him. What the hell do you mean 2 of your hearts? Kakuzu turned around to show her 3 masks sewn into his back, one of them cracked, and a vacant spot that looked like it used to be filled. The mask you just destroyed was my lightning heart, and that combination jutsu you and the QB boy launched destroyed my earth heart. Mask? Heart. Yujito thought before her eyes widened. Each one of those masks is a heart? You have 5 hearts? Had. Kakuzu corrected. I had 5 hearts before I fought you and the boy. Now I have 3. But that is of no real consequence. I'll simply have to replace them after we capture the 2 of you. We are in Kuminari no Kuni. I'm certain I can find a replacement lightning element heart somewhere. Yujito smirked. So you're not really immortal. All I have to do is kill you 3 more times before you're gone for good, right? Kakuzu chuckled at the simplified plan of action. You say it like it's going to be easy, little girl. Hidan, get over here! He shouted to his partner, who was still swiping furiously at Naruto, who was shocked that he was still able to move at that intensity after attacking for as long as he had been. I'm a bit busy right now, Kakuzu. Hidan yelled back as he carried on with his assault on Naruto. This kid's going to get sluggish soon and then it's game over for him. Naruto scoffed and kept narrowly avoiding Hidan's attacks, noticing that the silver-haired man was beginning to get his timing down and had stopped openly telegraphing his attacks. Please, if you're waiting on me to get tired just from moving around like this, you'll be here for the next 3 days. That was a lot of bluster because at this rate Hidan was going to inevitably hit him. He was adapting to Naruto's style of movement very well, he had to give him that, and the way he kept coming forward was annoying enough to press other shinobi into making mistakes. As Hidan got tunnel vision on getting a shot in on Naruto, he failed to notice Yujito come at him from his blind spot, narrowly sliding out of the way of a kick from the girl only to end up eating a haymaker from Naruto right in the mouth that sent him flying at least 30 yards away due to the Kyuubi's chakra giving Naruto's considerable natural strength a boost. Yujito landed at Naruto's side and smirked at him. Good shot, Naruto-kun. Naruto shook his right hand out. Yeah, it was. It took long enough for the team to drop his guard. Naruto looked at the fist he used to hit Hidan when he felt it stinging and saw a small cut on his knuckle, but shrugged it off as irrelevant. Yujito, however, looked at his knuckle in abject horror. What's the matter, Yugi-chan? She looked over at Hidan, who was slowly getting up. Did he cut you? Naruto looked at his fist. Yeah, I must have cut my hand on his teeth when I punched him or something. No, Yujito said hopelessly. Yes. Jujutsu, Shurji Hayaketsu, Curse Jutsu, Death Controlling Possessed Blood. Hidan said victoriously as he stood up, his skin now marked black with white outline that made him look like a skeleton. As he reached his feet, he revealed a red symbol similar to the one around his neck drawn into the ground. And now you lose, brat. Naruto rolled his eyes. What is this asshole babbling about? Nothing is any different than it was 2 minutes ago. You're still an immortal douche, and you still haven't gotten a decent hit on me yet, and now I'm going to finish tearing you apart. Naruto made a set of hand seals and placed his palms on the ground. Raiten, Kaksen no Jutsu, Lightning Release, Live Wire Jutsu. Lightning raced from Naruto's hands along the ground towards Hidan, who did nothing to move. Instead of moving, Hidan slowly began laughing, and when the jutsu hit him and began electrocuting him, his laughter turned downright manic and insane. Naruto wondered why he was cackling away like a lunatic until he saw the jutsu hit Hidan, and then he felt as if he had been the one to take the hit as he felt the muscle-stiffening effect of the electricity that should have been coursing through Hidan's body. His vision went spotty as the smell of burning flesh filled the air. Naruto-kun! Yujito watched Naruto drop to the ground as his frame began to smoke. She tried helping him to his feet only to take a subtle aftershock as Naruto's body was still able to complete a live circuit. Again she tried and succeeded in picking him up to his feet as he leaned on her. What the fuck just happened? Naruto asked, still out of it. Yujito shook her head. That was how they beat me. They ended up getting a wound on me, that guy ingested my blood, and then everything that happened to his body happened to me in return. Naruto glared at Hidan. You think this is going to stop me, you son of a bitch? Hidan licked his lips. I know this is going to stop you. He drew a pike from his ruined cloak and extended it to full length. I owe you a few wounds, brat. Hidan stabbed the pike into his left foot, delighting as he heard Naruto shout in pain. Blood started coming out of a phantom wound on Naruto's foot. He shouted in pain again and collapsed back to the ground when Hidan stabbed the other foot. Hidan dug the pike into his foot and ground it around, sighing in relief at the pain he was inflicting on himself and Naruto. Come on, Kyuubi brat, don't tell me this is all you can take. We're just starting to get acquainted. Sharing utter physical anguish like this lets me bond with my victims, so don't give up yet, give me some fight. Naruto stood back up, ignoring the wounds in his foot. Is that the best you've got, you talentless piece of shit? Naruto growled out. I can sleepwalk through this. Yujito hissed at Naruto. What the hell are you doing? Naruto turned to Yujito with his eyes shadowed by his hair. He can't kill me. As long as he can't kill me, he can't stop me. There's nothing he himself can do to himself to actually stop me. This is where my demented physical training is going to come into handy. Naruto started breaking out in a run towards Hidan, actually surprising the man that he was able to do so. His surprise faded quickly as he drove the pike into the meat of his own thigh to bring Naruto's advance to a stop with their link. Yujito grit her teeth at Naruto's desperate attempt to reach Hidan and turned her anger to Kakuzu, who was smirking at the sight of Naruto's struggle. I told him to just let us have you and we would leave him alone. He brought this on himself. That got her attention. Why would he do that? I'm not even a ninja of his village? Would he really put himself in harm's way like that for me? Our villages aren't even allies. Kakuzu shrugged. That's what I said, but he said if we wanted you we had to take you both, and I don't have any problems with that. Kakuzu clapped his hands and motioned towards himself in a patronizing fashion. You're kitty. Yujito was within a hair of going full Nibi and attempting to tear him apart when Naruto yelled out to her. Yugi-chan, you'd better remember what I said to you, goddammit. She turned to him to see him picking himself up off of the ground. Get fucking moving already! Yujito shook her head to him, getting Naruto to sneer at her. That wasn't an option. Naruto threw a mass of kunai that spread all around, some nearly hitting Yujito and some nearly hitting Kakuzu. The unmasked Muknin openly laughed at the blonde boy. What was that? You too disoriented and faint to throw your weapons anymore? Kiss my ass, Scarface, Naruto said as he made hand seals. Right, Denkai, lightning release, electric field. Kakuzu found himself encased in a roughly shaped dome of electric chakra. You threw those kunai to dash. That's right, dumbass, Naruto said as he held the seals for the jutsu. Who throws kunai that badly and lives this long? He turned to Yujito. Now I'm not asking you, Yujito, I'm telling you. Get the fuck out of here and find someone to help you. Tears started pushing to Yujito's eyes. You can't tell me you're just going to give up, that you're going to lose to them here. Naruto smiled weakly and shook his head. It was never about winning or losing, Yugi-chan. Go. Yujito stood in place for a moment before taking off back towards Kumagakure. Kakuzu tried to force his way through the barrier only to bounce off, getting a little electric shock for his troubles. So what's your plan, boy? To keep me trapped here? To keep us trapped here? We're the ones that have you at our mercy, not the other way around. Naruto smirked at him. You're right, so why doesn't Hidan just leave and chase her down so that you and me can have it out? There's nothing keeping him there. Hell, he can even stab at me while we're fighting, can he? Just by attacking himself? Naruto's smirk turned to a manic grin. Unless he has to stay right where he is to keep his little link to me. Am I right? He shouted at both Akatsuki members. Shut up, brat. Hidan yelled back and he dug his pike back into his thigh, bringing Naruto to his knees. Naruto's laughing fit hit a hitch when he took the damage that Hidan dealt out, but it came right back. No matter what you two do, there's no way I'm letting go of this jutsu. You both know I have the chakra to hold you here for as long as I want. Hidan can't move because the second he moves I will unleash all hell on him. And every second I hold you there, Kakuzu, Yugi-chan gets farther and farther away. Kakuzu glared at his electric prison. You think you've won? You think this is over? Naruto shook his head. No, I don't think I've won. At best this is the ultimate stalling tactic. But it's better than letting you get us both. Even if you catch me, you said it yourself that you have to wait to seal the Kyuubi last, so that gives time for a rescue attempt. And to even seal me you have to at least catch Gaara, re-catch Yugi-chan, and I'm not even going to mention Kurabi. If you can put him down then you deserve to take the Kyuubi. So what you said to the girl? Kakuzu pieced together. About how it was never about winning or losing. Naruto nodded. It was never about winning or losing, it was about surviving. And I'd say that we're both going to survive this one, don't you think? Kakuzu frantically turned to Hidan. Hidan, make him drop the barrier now! Hidan started pounding away at his legs and arms with his pike, trying to weaken Naruto's hold on the seal he had his hands held in. He repeatedly stabbed away at his left arm. Let go of the jutsu, damn you! You can't keep taking this, no one can! Naruto held his teeth together and hung tough as the Kyuubi now had time to heal his other injuries due to Hidan's focus on his arm, and the way he was his healing increased due to the one-tailed cloak surrounding him. I can take this all day, you fucking wuss. Is that all you've got, all you're willing to do to get me to break? I've taken worse than this when I was 6 years old. Kill me. Fucking do it already, you pussy. You can't break the jutsu, he said before breaking into loud, pain-filled laughter. Hidan shrieked insanely as he started carving up his own chest with the pike, trying to up the ante. Shut the fuck up! What's the matter? Naruto roared. Aren't you having fun? Weren't you enjoying this just a minute ago? Answer me, goddammit! How about you, Kakuzu, you enjoying the show? That's it. Hidan drove the pike directly through the palm of one of his hands and ground it around deeply. One of Naruto's hands went limp, dropping the jutsu that had Kakuzu trapped, and the Taki Nukenin took off in the direction that Yujito took. Hidan finished the brat off and start getting him out of here. I'm going after the Nibi. Hidan looked himself over. He was a total mess. He had stabbed his arm into hamburger meat. If he could walk after the damage he did to his thighs to keep Naruto on the ground, he would be shocked, and his chest was spilling blood openly after the carnage he had wrought on himself to hurt Naruto. He found solace in the fact that the intended target of his butchery was looking just as horrible as he was. Naruto's clothing stayed intact, but the blood was seeping through his pants and running down his legs from his wounds on his thighs. His top was sticking to his chest, stained entirely red by the blood from his chest, and blood completely covered his arms from those injuries. Which is why it was so surprising to see Naruto stand right back up so quickly after taking all of that damage to his limbs. Finally, Naruto said in the gravelly voice that using the Kyuubi's chakra gave him. That should be more than enough time for her to give him the slip, and now I've finally got you all to myself. And better yet, you've already done half of my job for me. What the fuck are you on about now? Hidan asked as he still had his pike stuck in his hand. Kakuzu was the real threat the entire time, Naruto said, his face still smirking. While I kept my eyes on Kakuzu the first time we fought, you were always there, just walking right through any offense I threw and coming at me while I was avoiding him. You even got in the way of a few attacks from your partner just so you could hit me. Alone, you're nothing to me. Hidan seethed at the insult. We'll see how much shit you talk after I carve you a new hole to speak out of. He tried pulling at the pike in his hand to deal Naruto more damage, but it stuck fast. Before he could look up, Naruto was in his face and unleashed a savage uppercut to his body that sent both Hidan and himself flying backwards into rock formations, crumbling them from the force of the impact. The good thing for Hidan was that the punch dislodged the pike from his hand. Ugh! Naruto emerged from his rubble spitting blood. It was either that or punch you in the face, and I really don't feel like growing my teeth back right now. Hidan crawled out of his own side. You little bastard! This isn't over. He had to get back inside of the circle, or it was indeed over. He could barely move, and yet this punk kid was not only still standing, he could still move about and beat the crap out of him. He had to wonder what was keeping him going. Not only that, but what kind of threshold for pain did he have? Hidan shakily reached his feet and began his all-out rush to reach the Jashin circle to continue his torture of Naruto when he saw the red blur that was the Kyuubi-powered Naruto coming at him again. Not this time! Hidan pulled his scythe back and blocked Naruto from punching him again when a second tail bubbled from Naruto's chakra cloak. Hidan got a good look at the grinning Naruto, whose face looked like pure evil once his lips took on a black outline as his red eyes seemed like they locked with his very soul. One of Naruto's chakra tails grasped Hidan's scythe and ripped it from his hands while the other grabbed the man himself and slammed him into the ground heavily. Naruto's tail dragged him through the ground before throwing him into the air and joining with the second tail to swat Hidan off into a cliff wall. Hidan stood back up and shouted with his back turned to the direction he was thrown from. Is that all you've got? I'm immortal, you fucking halfwit! He turned his head only to come face to face with a Naruto brandishing familiar steel. Look what I found! Naruto used the Senninki no Ken to once again sever Hidan's head from his body. As he saw Hidan's head hit the ground and tumble along, he sighed to himself and powered down, letting his fox shroud drop. I'm still alive, you useless waste of sperm! Hidan's bodiless head spouted. I'm going to snatch your bleeding throat out with my teeth, just get over here. You're so lucky I can't get back up. Naruto slowly walked over. Without the Kyuubi's chakra helping him along, he was starting to feel the strain from the battle. I wonder if I can get your bounty even though you're still alive. Naruto pondered out loud. It should still be good, right? Hidan stopped cursing long enough to look at Naruto with curiosity. Huh? What are you saying? Naruto grinned a bloody smile and reached into his pocket to pull out a storage scroll. Hidan's eyes widened as his motionless head could only watch the process that Naruto had pulled and opened the scroll for. I'll kill you! You fucking demon fox bastard! This isn't over. As long as I'm alive, I'll never rest until I pierce your heart. I'm going to watch you bleed out in front of me and I'm going to savor it. Do you hear, Dash? In a puff of smoke, Naruto had sealed Hidan's head inside of the storage scroll. At that point, the only thing preventing him from collapsing to his knees was the fact that the fight still wasn't over yet. Naruto pocketed the scroll and dragged his sword along the ground in exhaustion as he went off after Kakuzu and Yujito. Is it possible for 15 to be too old for this crap? Yujito hadn't turned back since Naruto told her to run. If she had turned back, she would have gone back to help him, and she figured that going back when he demanded her not to would have pissed him off more than anything else she could have done at that point. Her coils were burning as she continued pumping the Nibi's chakra throughout her system to keep her body moving towards Kumo. The two fights against Hidan and Kakuzu had really done a number on her. Had Naruto not given her the okay to start using the Nibi's chakra in the fight, she wouldn't have lasted long enough to even begin fleeing in the first place. Yujito! The voice that had called out to her and got her attention almost made her shout out loud in relief. Sure! Upon seeing someone friendly that didn't have a demon inside of them, she deactivated her chakra cloak and collapsed on her hands and knees. Sure, Ji, and Darui came to a stop all around her. Darui kneeled down. Yujito, what happened? Who have you been fighting the whole time? Sure turned her over onto her back. She needs medical attention, she's really beaten up. He made a few hand seals to get his hands glowing green. Shaozen Jutsu, mystical palm jutsu. Yujito looked around at them. Akatsuki tried to kidnap me. Naruto-kun is still back there fighting with them. Someone needs to help him. Darui looked confused. Naruto? Who's Naruto? Ji realized who she was talking about. You mean the kid that came here with Jiraiya of the Sannin from Konoha, their Jinchuriki, Naruto Uzumaki? He was helping you fight? And he let you get away? Yujito nodded with hopeful eyes when Sure snorted. Why would we go back and risk our necks for a Konoha ninja when we already have you back, Yujito? He's not our ally. For all you know, he was just fighting with you because it was convenient to him. Yujito narrowed her eyes at her fellow Kumo ninja. He was the one that saved me in the first place. He didn't even have to get himself involved. He's the only reason you were all able to find me at all, and you're just going to leave him to my fate. Sure nodded. Better him than you. Why does it matter? This way Konoha loses their Jinchuriki. They probably brought him here as a show of force or something. Get off of me! Yujito shouted, forcing Sure to cancel his jutsu when she shoved him while getting up. I'm going back to finish those guys off and help Naruto-kun. You three can sit here with your thumbs in your asses if you want. Ji moved to stop her. Yujito, you're still a mess. Sure didn't get to do much and you're just going to re-injure whatever he did manage to fix. Darui nodded in agreement. Yeah. Sure didn't have to be such a bastard about it, but he's right in a way. You're risking your neck for this guy. Why? Because he did it for me. Yujito yelled at them. Can't you see that? Do you not get the picture here? There was no incentive, no reason, no actual objective to find me and get me away from them, but he still did it. So why can't someone extend the same damn courtesy to him? Nationality be damned. Well, isn't that sweet? It looks like the Kyuubi Jinchuriki lit a fire under your Nibi Jinchuriki. Yujito paled at the sound of that voice and immediately turned the Nibi's chakra cloak back on. Kakuzu. She hissed out in anger. What did you do to Naruto-kun? Kakuzu laughed. Me? Nothing. Hidan probably maimed the brat to put him down and is probably dragging him across the mountain range as we speak. And look, you even brought me an entire mess of new hearts to replace the ones you destroyed. You're a responsible young lady, aren't you? Yujito flipped him off. Fuck you. I'm going to finish you off. Yes, I'm sure that you will, Kakuzu replied sarcastically. His stitches on his body opened up to reveal a mass of black threads that his two remaining masks were attached to. You and your little friend tried a little combination jutsu a while back on me. Allow me to return the favor. Katan Zukaku, fire release, intelligent hard work. Futon, Atsugai, wind release, pressure damage. Yujito remembered the force that she and Naruto generated with their combined jutsu, and that was a wind and fire combination as well. Kakuzu sounded extremely confident in his own, and that didn't exactly inspire confidence in her for everyone else around her or even for herself. Get away from him now! Get far away! Hearing someone like Yujito tell them to get away got the other Kumo ninja in gear as they immediately bugged out and took off running away from Kakuzu just in time for him to launch his attack. One of his masks spit a regular-sized fireball at Yujito when the other one sent off a tornado-like mass that compressed the fireball before finally releasing it in a white-hot torrent. The intensity of the heat that it generated forced all of the other Kumo ninja to look away. As the attack faded, it revealed that Yujito had to turn into her full Nibi mode in order to block the jutsu for the others. At the end of her rope, she transformed back to normal and dropped to the ground, visibly singed in a few places. Sure looked at her in disbelief. Did Yujito just lose? Derry grit his teeth. She took the hit for us. If we weren't here, she would have just dodged it and been okay, but she took it for us because we all wouldn't have gotten away. Damn him! Sure shouted before rushing right towards Kakuzu. I'll finish him myself. Ignoring Derry and Ji telling him to stay put, he went right at Kakuzu while making forehand seals. Raijin Reikuchu, lightning illusion, flash of lightning pillar. An extremely bright light seemed to exude from Sure that blinded Kakuzu. Kakuzu shut his eyes and snapped out his arm that flew off and grasped Sure around the throat before he could take any action to follow up. Kakuzu looked the young man over before smirking. You're a lightning element, aren't you? Your heart will do just fine for now. Hayakunin Tsukakaru, Century Rush! A red buzzsaw flashed through the area and hacked Kakuzu's arm, holding Sure off, freeing him and letting him retreat back to his own ninja. Ji kneeled over the man as he held his own throat and caught his breath. Are you alright? Sure coughed to get his breathing back to normal. Who was that? Darui pointed over to the source of the attack. Naruto stood not far from Kakuzu wearing a bladed pair of gauntlets and greaves, staring at him intently. Kakuzu's good mood vanished as his arm reattached. You were able to finish Hidan? And how exactly did you get here so fast? Flashback. Naruto was starting to run a fumes at this point, but the entire situation wasn't over until he and Yujito were safely with someone that they could absolutely trust to ensure their safety, and he sure wasn't going to find that out in the middle of nowhere on the side of a mountain. I need to catch up to Yugi-chan and see if she's fighting. Naruto squinted as three figures came into his view from not too far away. He really wished that they weren't Kakuzu's stupid masks. He was so sick of those things by now it was absurd. Hey, is that who it looks like? A fiery female voice called out. Kami, he looks like a complete mess. They all came to a stop not far from each other, Naruto breathing heavily and staring at them all. Hey Karui, Oma, Samui. Long time no see you guys. Oma looked Naruto over and took the sucker out of his mouth. You look like you lost a fight to a kitchen knife. What in Kami's name happened to you? Naruto sighed. Well, I for sure didn't lose to anything, yet. Anyway, what are you guys doing here? He said, stumbling slightly but playing off his fatigue. Samui spoke up, explaining the situation. Raikage-sama ordered our forces to scour the area for Yujito since it was revealed that she was missing. We saw a massive tower of flame a little ways from here and rushed over, but you were all that we found. Naruto grimaced. Damn, so you haven't gotten an order to return yet. She's still out here, I need to go now. Naruto ended up getting grabbed on his shoulder by Karui. Hey wait, you know where Yujito is? You saw her? A nod came from the blonde Chunin. I told her to escape from some unsavory people while I held them in place, but one got away. We were fighting them, that's where the massive fire thing came from. He held up his sword. I really hate using this thing, but I'm not catching up any other way. Sennin Hakiai Ikijraware, Millennium Release, Primary Materialization. The sword dematerialized and reformed as gray/silver gauntlets around Naruto's arms and greaves on his legs with wicked blades on the outsides of them. Samui poked at Naruto's weapons in surprise. What on earth just happened? What are these? Naruto shook his head. No time to go into detail right now. Yugi-chan took off back towards Kumo, so you probably missed her or came here from another side of the mountain range. Follow me, or follow the trail I carve out, because you're not going to be able to follow me directly. With that, Naruto took off at top speed, leaving a trail of dust and upkicked rock in his wake. End flashback. Don't worry about that, Naruto said. Let's finish this once and for all, Stitches. I'm sick of looking at your face. About that, Kakuzu said before sending two of his masks off of his body to attack an incoming contingent of Kumo ninja consisting of Sure, Derry, and Ji. I don't need anyone interrupting us, you understand? Understood. Naruto then rushed in to attack Kakuzu at a speed Kakuzu hadn't seen him move at, a speed faster than when he had been using the Kyuubi's chakra. Kakuzu jumped back out of Naruto's way but ended up getting cut along his stomach. Black threads poured out of the wounded mass and attempted to swarm Naruto and block him into place. Naruto spun out and cut through the threads as he dropped back in position to avoid a mishap with the threads that had been plaguing him in their last series of conflicts. Kakuzu's body pumped out more black thread than Naruto had ever seen come from Kakuzu's body any time prior to this point. It formed an octopus-type figure around his body and stretched out 20 feet in every direction the arms went. You're too fast now to allow you to get in close again. Luckily I can keep you off with this. It's a shame, you have a very powerful heart. I'd like to take it for myself, to be quite honest. He then whipped his arms at Naruto to initiate an attack. Naruto spun in a rapid circle, turning into a blur as he cut and repelled Kakuzu's threads before dodging as a second thread appendage smashed into the ground where he had been a moment before. Kakuzu was so far succeeding in keeping Naruto at a distance from him. I already finished off the Nibi. Once I beat you two, you can kiss your infantile ass goodbye, and I say good riddance. Naruto had put on the gauntlets to get the speed boost needed to catch up. He hadn't really planned on how he was going to handle Kakuzu from that point forward, but he did have something to fall back on. Kakuzu had sent off 2 of his masks to run interference with the rest of the ninja in the area, thus keeping him from spamming multi-elemental jutsu combinations at him. On the other hand, Naruto was beginning to suck wind. Once again the downside of his weapon was coming into play. For the boost it gave him, it sucked his chakra like a sponge. He was already dipping into the Kyuubi's chakra to keep it from sucking his own reserves dry. At this rate it was only a matter of time. Jei dodged another Katan Zukaka from Kakuzu's fire element mask. Who the hell is this guy? What are these? The heat from the attack licked at his body as he stayed out of its range. Darui had drawn his cleaver blade and had been attempting to hack away at the wind element mask that had been keeping its distance since he didn't feel like dodging any wind attacks from it. Yujito's been fighting these things? Her and that kid? He cut through its body only for it to reform right in front of his eyes. Sure, how is she doing? Sure had carried Yujito out of the line of fire and was once again hard at work healing her injuries. Only this time she had a few burns to go with her pre-existing wounds. She's going to be out of it for a while. She's not getting back up, her insides are wrecked. How long has she been lasting like this? Darui had enough of the regenerating freaky masked creature running rushshot all over them and made a dragon hand seal. Ranton, Raizo Sakasu, Storm Release, Laser Circus! A halo of bright light formed around his hands and shot off several beams of electricity at both masks. The fire mask showed awareness to the situation and took cover behind some rocky formations while the wind mask simply attempted to dodge in the open field. It got a nasty surprise when the beams of light maneuvered back around towards it. The wind mask generated chakra and fired off Futon, Atsugai, disrupting the attack and blowing Darui back off of his feet. The mask took advantage of its freedom from fighting Darui and moved towards Shure and Yujito to take him out and capture her for Kakuzu. Shure looked up to see the black thread monster moving his way, but he stuck it out near Yujito to keep her out of its clutches and take his chance against it on his own. Lariat! Shure was saved by a massive, muscular dark-skinned arm plowing into the mask of the wind element creature, shattering it on impact and putting it out of the fight. Raikage-sama! I looked over his shoulder at his subordinate standing by Yujito. The Raikage smirked victoriously upon seeing that she was still with them. Good work. Now where are the fools that thought taking our Yujito was a good idea? Shure was about to answer when he noticed Jei still under pursuit by the fire mask that had just shot off another jutsu. The jutsu was diverted as it changed trajectory completely and found itself sucked into a scroll. Fukahauen, Fire Sealing Method. Jiraiya rolled the scroll he used to seal the jutsu back up. It looks like we were able to make it after all, Raikage-sama? The mask charged up another attack, but Jiraiya only smirked and pointed behind the mask before disappearing in a puff of smoke. The mask ended up getting eradicated by a Rasengan that carved through the back of its head, all the way through the front, defeating the mask and the heart that went with it. Shure watched in awe before his focus returned. Raikage-sama, the man that tried taking Yujito is over there. He pointed over to where Naruto was still engaged in combat with Kakuzu. Wrapped his body in a layer of lightning chakra and prepared to make his way into the battle when Jiraiya called over to him. Raikage-sama let Naruto finish the fight himself. He did this much by himself. I want to see him finish it off. I looked at Jiraiya. We could just head in and end it ourselves. There's no need for the boy to be at risk any longer. He's proven himself by staying alive this long. Getting a nod from the white-haired man was his response. He needs this. If only to prove to himself that he's capable of defeating these people. Naruto had sweat beating down his face, mixing with the grime and blood as Kakuzu kept him on his toes with his defensive offense. It was as if he knew that keeping this style of fighting up was wearing on Naruto, and all he had to do was outlast him, and the battle was his. Damn it, this is like the forest of death all over again. Naruto thought frantically to himself, wait. He realized, this is like the forest of death all over again. And I'm just as tired now as I was then. I've been running away and fighting for at least 12 hours straight, and that was before I even started using this thing. A tentative smirk came to Naruto's face. Kakuzu raised an eyebrow at this 180 in Naruto's attitude. What are you smiling about, brat? You still can't touch me. The last time I tested this move out, I exterminated half of a nest of spiders. He mumbled lowly to himself out of Kakuzu's earshot. What was that? Kakuzu teased. Saying a short prayer for yourself? That can wait, you aren't dead, yet. Nope. Naruto said more to himself than to anyone while still on the move. But you are. Naruto slammed the blades on his gauntlets together loudly 3 times, setting a low droning noise that stuck around over the battlefield. Kakuzu simply took it as irrelevant noise as he felt nothing from it. Naruto then slammed his blades on his greaves together 3 times while in mid-stride, turning the noise higher-pitched. Naruto stopped running as the threads all closed in on him, getting Kakuzu to cackle as he believed that Naruto had finally run out of energy. Naruto clashed the blades of his weapons together one more time and focused the point of the sound into one of the blades on his leg, making the noise conspicuous to Kakuzu, who prepared himself for whatever was about to happen, getting his threads away from Naruto. Naruto lifted his one foot and stomped it, burying it into the ground from the force of the stomp. The vibrations from his leg blade carried through the ground, prompting Kakuzu to leap off of the ground as he assumed this was all an earth element ninjutsu. Tenbin no Hirokanpai, scales of total exhaustion. A high-pitched whining noise that droned into Kakuzu's ears seemingly sapped him of all of his energy. Meanwhile, with those watching the fight from a distance, a few of the ninja that had been in battle against the masks felt their energy suddenly leave them as a faint white noise hit their senses, forcing them to visibly look winded, all except for Jiraiya and A commented on it. I can feel my chakra leaving my body. Is it this sound? Jiraiya looked on at the scene between Naruto and Kakuzu. I would guess as much. I can only imagine the effect it's having right at the heart of the noise. Kakuzu began to leak blood from his mouth, eyes, and ears. What the hell are you doing? He willed his threads bestowed upon him by the Jiangsu to move forward, but they only flickered forward for a moment before dropping to the ground limply. Naruto's ears started to bleed himself. This jutsu takes the fatigue that I've accumulated in comparison to my full capabilities and saturates the air with this sound. Anything that is caught in the noise gets their chakra drained to the extent of the amount that I've used in relation to my full reserves. That fact widened Kakuzu's eyes. With only one heart left, he had no ludicrous reserves the way that Naruto did, and he had been fighting just as long as Naruto had been all day long. You brat! Kakuzu said weakly as he slumped to the ground in a heap. How could I be beaten by a punk kid that's barely out of diapers? He said quietly as the noise persisted. Naruto walked over to him sluggishly, now bleeding from his eyes to go with his ears. Because this punk kid's been training to kill guys like you since he was able to read. Naruto drove the blade on his foot into Kakuzu's chest, leaving it sticking straight out of the side of his chest. His heart was on. Kakuzu let out a death rattle and he went still once and for all. A groan of discomfort came from Naruto as he allowed his weapon to return to its original ninjato form before he began walking over to where the others were. Jiraiya had a wide grin on his face as he saw his apprentice walking back over to them after finishing off Kakuzu. What did I say, Raikage-sama? I told you he could handle it by himself. You just need to have faith in the kid. A chuckled at Jiraiya's pride in Naruto's performance. As long as that boy is in your village, I can see him keeping it safe as its protector. What he was meant to be as its Jinchuriki. Yep. Jiraiya beamed. He's the spitting image of Dash. Oh, hold on. Jiraiya frowned when he saw Naruto unceremoniously drop face first onto the ground in exhaustion in the distance. A sweat dropped as he gestured for his ninja to go out and assist him. Is he going to be alright? Jiraiya shrugged. Meh, he's fine. He cupped his hands to his mouth. Come on, Gaki, walk it off. You're blowing my wise teacher moment here. And here I was starting to think you were tough. Naruto, face down on the ground, heard Jiraiya's remark and started muttering curses to himself as he found himself unable to move his body or raise his voice. All right. Kyuubi's voice boomed in Naruto's mind. He's back on the list. Naruto could only give a mental nod to his tenant in agreement.